Welcome back, everyone, to One Piece Chapter 1060. We have Par here, a brand new guest to one of these podcast breakdown episodes. Do you want to introduce yourself, Par?
I mean, I don't really want to, but we need to start naming these. We need to start I mean, a lot of people would say like Par Sci Vision, but that's like on my channel. So we need like a Sci version of this.
What about the side story?
The side. I mean, this is not the side story. This is the main story right now. Right. We'll think of the name later. We'll think about that.
The name will come naturally. Well, we'll call it the Great Cleansing.
Yeah. Oh my God. All right. So clearly the commenters, the chatters will have a way better suggestion. Feel free to leave one in the comment section.
If you guys have any names, please throw it our way. Something that preferably combines our names or involves One Piece genocide. Just like Imusama did this chapter. That's what we're looking for.
Oh my goodness.
With that being said, welcome back to 1060, where we have a lot of crazy events going on. On paper, it doesn't seem like a lot happens, but in reality, we get some crazy events. And to kick us off in this chapter, we have the beautiful cover spread of the 10 Straw Hats sitting on top of a polar bear. And you know what? I'm glad we got this cover page finally, because I don't like polar bears that much. And
wait, you don't like polar bears? What did polar bears do to you?
Remember that old like Coca-Cola commercial? I was like never a fan of that. So seeing Luffy and the boys beat one up right here just feels good.
You know, there's another reference to a large conglomerate type of organization in this chapter. We could talk about it later, but yeah, the Coca-Cola's here. There was McDonald's a little bit later. You know?
Coca-Cola, the world government, they're all the same.
Yeah, exactly.
So the first couple panels of this week's chapter, we have Luffy and the crew finally figuring out what happened at the reverie. And we get a lot of like crazy reactions here, but Luffy, in my opinion, was the craziest. So the reason why I think Luffy's reaction is like kind of intense is because to us, this happened a while ago. Like we learned the Sabo events many chapters ago, and this was our reaction beforehand. And Luffy's just now hitting it like 3-4 weeks later. And I really enjoy it. I like that he has this kind of reaction towards Sabo and Vivi. And what do you think about it?
I'm like, when I first started reading this, I think like my main thing was like, finally, like to me it made less sense. So, like, where was this newspaper this entire time? Like, where did they get the newspaper? Like, why didn't they read this sooner? Like, it was really confusing to me, because this seemed like the first news drop that like occurred in the entirety of the news drops, right? Because it was like Big News Morgans talked about this how long ago? I feel like a long time ago.
Chapter 950 or something, like almost 100 chapters ago did this information come out to us,
right? And like the reverie was well and done, and it's like this news should have been one of the first releases, but to us it came almost in like reverse order. And so I'm just like grateful that we got it. Now, in terms of the reactions, it's interesting because Luffy, you know, he would just want to go straight towards like Vivi or Sabo and to like figure out what's happening, to ascertain the situation. And it's like I really like the way Oda structured this entire chapter. I did really like that.
I mean, I really enjoyed it too, because like we start with the Straw Hats, we end with the Straw Hats, and you know, like I wanted more of the outside world to be portrayed in this chapter. But I feel like it is time we get back to the Straw Hats. We had 2 chapters spent with the Cross Guild, or 1 chapter spent with the Cross Guild, 1 with Boa. It's about time we get back to our main characters. So they're all reacting. Luffy wants to go to Alabasta. Pretty much Zoro implies that they shouldn't, because Vivi isn't there. There's literally no reason to go there, especially with how far it is too. Like if they made the trip back to Alabasta, I'm not saying that Law or Kid could hit Laugh Tale, but their chances do go up. They are in the race for that. There's many people going after the One Piece now. So if they did take that massive detour back to Alabasta, it would put them well behind.
Right.
But Zoro is just mainly looking at it in the sense that, hey, like we shouldn't. Like they have their own adventures, like you said. We don't have to interfere with them. But I feel like this is one of those scenarios where you kind of want to interfere. Maybe that's just me. But this is such a big world-changing event. If the newspaper comes out and it says Sabo got defeated by don't know, some random dude in the East Blue, then it's kind of like whatever. Like Sabo got his butt handed to him. We can just ignore that. But this is like, yo, Sabo killed King Cobra. Vivi is missing, and they're all tied together. These are people that are so close to Luffy, and these are events that are just mysterious and don't sound right. What are your thoughts on Zoro turning everybody down here?
I think, like, you know, he says, like, Vivi was at Meridra. All of this stuff happened at Meridra.
Yeah.
So it's like even Luffy's being a little impulsive in what he's saying. And it makes sense. Like you're saying, it does make sense. It's not your run-of-the-mill situation. This is intertwined with the world government, intertwined with admirals, intertwined with, you know, one of their best friends' dad being murdered by his brother. It's like, it's not just that. But what's also here is like, they need to ascertain the truth. I think that's more important than heading to wherever they need to go. Will they get the truth by going to the Holy Land? Will they get the truth by going to Arabasta? No, right? And so with what Zoro is saying, I understand it. And truthfully, in their current situation, they have no choice, right? They only have they have 3 directions to go, but like, what benefit do they have in changing it right now? It makes more sense to make landfall and then make plans, right? Like, especially in the Grand Line of all places, the ocean is not your friend, and you don't want to be messing around on that. So like, it's kind of weird. With like, I definitely get it, right? Because it's like, you know, they definitely loved him. I think they were upplaying it a little bit where it's like,
oh, for sure,
like Vivi's dad is dead and he's like so nice and blah blah blah. And one of the one of the interesting notes was like Brooke was saying, I've never known anyone to be discontent with the way Arabasta is ruled. And I was like, how do you know that, Brooke? And then like, it's kind of like, you were stuck in a fog like for 50 years. And
hey, he still got the news coup. It still traveled to Thriller Bark.
The way I was thinking about it, because we learned the history that he was like in the military of something. Yeah. And it might have been that he was like in like a world government associated thing, or it was like related to Arabasta in some way. And I was like, oh, that's a very interesting line. I think it was interesting to include in all of this the whole Caribou situation, right?
Yeah,
I did not expect
like
that
sandwiched in.
Yeah, which was another one of those W's that I got, because I was saying that he's gonna be on the ship and everyone gave me shit for that, and I was just like, hey, I mean, Luffy kind of said that, and it seemed like this was like on purpose because they have him chained up. It's not like he hid there, right? Yeah. Like, it's like they were like, okay, we're actually gonna take Caribou, but we're gonna chain you up, and it's like, that's interesting. But it's also interesting to insert that amongst all of this. And then what's also interesting is underneath Vivi too, and I was like, that placement's very interesting. Is Vivi special for some reason? Is she like Shirahoshi? I don't know. And then we get more information later about a certain, ancient weapon possibly, and it's like, Caribou's only about those ancient weapons. He's only in the story for Poseidon, Pluton, and Uranus, and I was just like, pretty much this placement's
like that's all. That's like his entire personality, right?
Yeah.
And the thing with Caribou is that when he's talking here, he says, are we heading to Meridra? Not good. Damn it, it's too muffled to hear. But the thing with this is that we still don't know who Caribou is working for. A lot of people were referring to pirates like, oh, it could be Buggy, it could be, just like Blackbeard. So many different people were coming to people's minds. But what if the answer is actually in Meridra? What if he's actually working for the Celestials? I know Caribou and a Celestial are like the last 2 people you'd see walking down the street holding hands, but at the same time, it's like, that's the one person that like we haven't really guessed about. And not to mention that he knows about Pluton, he knows about, what was the other one? Poseidon, yeah. He knows about 2 ancient weapons, but he isn't, I mean, I guess he doesn't need to, but he hasn't really mentioned Uranus. And what if the reason why he hasn't mentioned Uranus or wanting to go look for it is because he knows that it actually is already in Meridra with the person who he was going to tell about the location of the other 2?
All of this, like, it really, when he said the Meridra thing, I was just like, yeah, maybe we need to start looking towards that direction, the world government thing. And I know that I think maybe this isn't like a prominent thought, but I know it was brought up on my stream at some point because I talk a lot about Caribou. And one of the ideas was like him being a part of Sword. because when you kind of think about the way we were introduced to him on Sabaody, he was trying to infiltrate Luffy's crew. He thought that was Luffy, and he was trying to join in, and it's like, was Drake not trying to do that with Kaido?
Oh, what if he's with Sengoku?
Yeah, and like
crazy.
The ancient weapons that would fall in line of like, you know, we don't know what they're investigating, but you know, Kaido was looking for ancient weapons. Drake was a part of that thing, and it's like, and they have a cover story together. And Caribou brought him to Wano, and it's like, it's kind of interesting because like, why would you bring Caribou to Wano? Like, you didn't
why wouldn't you kill
that.
him or turn him in for the bounty or anything?
Yeah,
like Caribou's such a throwaway character.
So it's almost like, is his power, like, did Drake want him there to like confiscate Pluton? Maybe, like, I don't know. I was thinking about that in the back of my mind. Like, is there a world where, because we do know that if you're in Sword, you can be pirate. Like, we saw Drake doing a lot of pirate like things. Like, you could very well be under the radar in that regard. And I mean, we don't know, and it doesn't make sense for it to be, I don't know. Is it Blackbeard? Maybe, but like, are we heading to Marriage Law? Not good. And it's like, I want to wait for the officials to understand more of like what the wording is like there, but I think Caribou's such a random character, but he's so important.
Caribou. I love Caribou so much. Even when we first met him, I was hoping that he would just start gunning down mermaids at Fishman Island, bro. Like,
of course you would.
Well, he's like one of the first characters with a Gatling gun coming out. He was a Logia, like one of the first useless Logias out there, and it's like, dude, this is a cool character. He's kind of scummy, right? I don't agree with what Caribou does half the time, 90% of the time.
Good save.
But at the same time, he's cool. He's a cool guy. I like the fact that he's on the Sunny and in that barrel more so than if it was Carrot. If Carrot was in there, I'd be filled with despair. It's filled with Caribou instead, and I'm filled with happiness. That is what it boils down to.
Yeah, we're gonna offend a large portion of the viewers here. Like, how dare they talk down on Carrot barrel
Carrot
theory?
sucks, bro. I would nibble on that carrot so freaking hard. Oh my god.
It's funny because, you know, skipping ahead, it's like I just talked to that One Piece talk, and Sebastian on that One Piece talk is a huge Carrot for Nakama fan, and his copium, bro, was intoxicated by it.
Oh my
he was saying there's still a chance Carrot's in a barrel. I'm like, bro,
Carrot's
how? We had a time skip. He said like last time she came out, she was hungry, so maybe she comes out when she's hungry again. I'm like, in this chapter, she wasn't there, and then we got to fast forward a few days, and I said she's dead in that fucking barrel you think she's in.
Yeah, exactly. If I hope Carrot's in that barrel. I hope Carrot's in there and we just open it and we're like, what's that smell? And it's actually her deceased corpse. Like, it's rotted entirely. Worms are eating it. You know, Caribou is turning into a swamp on her. Like, I hope everything bad happens to the Carrot. There might be a reason why Oda hasn't drawn her in like the past 4 or 5 chapters. Maybe she's just gone. She's deceased. I am going to make a suggestion to the One Piece Wikia right now and say, hey, change Carrot's status from alive to unknown. Like, throw this up in the air, please. Anything but Carrot for Nakama. I'm not a big fan of that. And I don't want to like slander Carrot super hard because I know people actually like her and I'm, 99% joking. But at the same time, I just really dislike Carrot. Like, I don't think she fits in with the Straw Hats.
If you're Carrot for Nakama, or if you like Carrot, you should want her to be the queen or the duke, duchess.
Yeah, that's not a bad title. That's
a great thing. Because the alternative right now is what you said. Because that's what would happen. If she's in the barrel, she would be dead. There's no way around that. Unless she smuggled like days of food in that barrel with her. But like, that doesn't make sense either.
Yeah. You either take the fact that she is the queen or king of Zoro, whatever you want to call her, or you either take the fact that she's dead. It's one or the other. There's obviously one better answer here.
Yeah, exactly. And we're truthfully on Carrot's side. For all you guys who don't think so, I want what's best for Carrot. What's best for Carrot is for her
Bunny.
to be the Duchess.
When I watched Space Jam, I'm looking at Lola Bunny. I was upset when they changed her design in Space Jam 2. I'm one of you guys.
I was going here and Sai went here. Sai went fucking like.
I went off the deep end with that one.
Yeah.
But hey, they changed the figure. I was upset. Don't worry. I was with you guys. I stand for you. So after the Caribou portion, people start, Luffy and the crew start joining in with what Zoro's saying. They understand it. It's kind of harsh, but they're like, okay, you know what? Zoro's making a lot of sense, which is where I ended up. I love Zoro's role in the crew because throughout, from like the beginning of One Piece all the way till now, Zoro has stayed very consistent in being the anchor of the crew. Whenever the crew's having doubts or whenever they're in turmoil, they're wondering what the captain is doing or what he's saying or if they need to justify it in some way, Zoro is always right there, steering the crew on the straight and narrow, and I can really appreciate that. What do you think about Zoro's role? Like, he's almost like the unofficial captain, which I guess he is because he's the right-hand man.
Yeah, I think his role in general is to not make decisions based off of emotion. Yeah. And it's kind of like, you know, it's this ever-flowing ebb and flow between emotion and logic and rationale. And it's like not one side is ever the correct answer. It's somewhere in between, but it's about getting that perspective, right? Yeah. And what's important here is like when in trying to settle Luffy down in this, he's like, Luffy, remember what you said about Ace that one time? And it's that Ace has his own adventures, and he uses that like logic and rationale to balance that emotion. And it's like, you know, I think that's always important in when you're dealing with an emotional state. It's like you can't just come from a place of rationale and logic all the time. It'll be not founded upon. You'll be seen as someone who's heartless and whatever. But in this situation, it's like, no, Zoro is, you know, bringing Luffy back to his own reality as well. You know, bringing Luffy back to what he said in the past, his own, to a place where he was more emotionally stable as well. And I think that in a lot of ways, I have like an hour 30-minute video about Sanji and his emotional stuff, and what I say in that thing is that Sanji and Zoro are two sides of like the same coin. You know, they're always shown as one, like emotional and like stoic. And yeah, and I really do like his role on the crew to be that like you know, a compass. You know, essentially he's a compass that points to a direction that is
the one time he doesn't get lost.
Yeah, exactly. That's a great point. He may get lost physically, but not mentally.
Mentally, he's always there. Yeah. And one thing, too, is that Zoro isn't infallible. Because back in Zou, Luffy was like, hey, we should go after Sanji. We need to rescue him. And Zoro was the one person who said, well, he made his own choice. Let's just let him do his thing. But Luffy found another reason to go to Whole Cake Island, and he did end up going there. So if Luffy, in my opinion, truly did think Vivi and Sabo couldn't handle the situation or etc., then Luffy would have went anyways. But he decided to take Zoro's words into consideration, and he did agree with them. Because I see some people in the comments that are like, whoa, like Zoro's actually the real captain. Like he's calling these shots here, but that's not the case. Zoro is giving his legitimate opinion, and Luffy is agreeing with it. Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's Sabo. It's like Sabo's not. He's weak, but I mean, he won't die to like nothing, right? Yeah, sure. We'll go with that one for the sake of conversation. I just gotta say, I'm surprised by how many people are like fans of Sabo. Like, why are you surprised? I don't know. Like, for some reason, I never thought Sabo had a lot of fans. And I looked at the popularity contest for One Piece and everything. And I'm like, yo, Sabo has like a fan base. That's so crazy. Wait, Sabo's pretty dope. I like Sabo. Sabo's okay. He's an okay character. I think in the future we'll get more depth, and then we can get a better understanding. Because at this point he came back, and a lot of the nostalgia of him coming back, not nostalgia, the sentiment of him coming back was really powerful. But then also like the role, he was kind of like, I think when he like said like you know, if Luffy ever needed him, he'll come through no matter what. And I mean, that was false, but like, you think you'd help him on the rooftop or something, right? Like Luffy's dying like 3 times. I mean, he needed a lot of help there. He needed the help, bro. Like that Vivi card was burning. Yeah, and that's a point to come back to later in the story, but like, or in the chapter, but the like, I think the way Sabo presented himself and then the parallel to Ace, it makes him a likable character. I think he's like a big brother figure, all of that stuff. And you know, a lot of people, Zoro's a big brother figure. I think a lot of people like the big brother figure in One Piece. And I think
You know, I was gonna say if Sabo gets more character display, but that's a question. That's a topic to discuss in a little bit. We'll get to that.
You know, funny enough, like, you know, I just gotta throw this out here to you know, clarify myself. I like Sabo and I'm interested in his storyline, but I'm such a Marine and world government fan that's kind of the real reason why I'm just like, I don't vibe with Sabo, right? He's over here freeing countries, and I'm like, stop that right now. Don't revolt against us.
It's not even a power scaling agenda. It's not even a power scaling agenda. It's a moral agenda.
Yeah, it's a moral agenda why I don't like Sabo. It's very different. I think as a character, he's great. I loved his backstory, actually, and everything about him. I like what he stands for, but at the same time, it's like, I can't stand with him.
Yeah.
So the crew obviously is a little bit upset, and they're just still running on emotions with Zoro, and they end up insulting him. We have Luffy calling him an Oni, Nami calling him a green Kaido, and Chopper calling him a green mum, and then Sanji with the classic moss head. What is your take? You have some crazy takes on this one, and I saw the stocks of one of your old theories coming, you know, peeking its head over the corner. If this was a toilet bowl, you'd be the Super Bowl because you're taking the Browns there.
This is... What an intro to that panel, bro.
No, my cousin used to say that a lot back when I was a kid. Whenever we have to like use the bathroom, he's like, "Oh, are you taking the Browns to the Super Bowl?" I'm like, you know it. So it's you know, like, and then it peaks above a little bit, so your theory's peeking out. The Browns are coming.
Got the gist of it.
Yeah,
I got the gist of it. I mean, I introduced myself to the Reverie. I said, I'm ParVision. And I have a few, you know, if you heard some crazy theories out there, like Vanderdecken's a mushroom, Mihawk is a sword, and Zoro is a plant, then you probably heard it from me. And what do we get here? We get crappy moss head, fine, cool. But if you looked up have you looked up the green mum flower?
I did.
It's Zoro. It's literally Zoro.
Yeah, Oda's watching your theories, and he's like, how do I mess with ParVision today?
He's literally in my closet over there. Like, everyone's been memeing about this, and it's true. Sorry, guys, you have to find it out here. Yep, Oda's been here the whole time. I had access to Oda this entire time. Zoro is a plant, and it's like, we had Nami displaying Conqueror's Haki. That was another one of those things.
Oh my gosh!
And it's like,
Oda's having fun with you, bro. He's straight up like
chapters
doing something over there.
Yo, and it's like, he could have just kept the moss head thing. No, he elevated. He said, let me find another plant to associate Zoro with, so that I motivate ParVision to actually put out the theory. Because what's the funniest part is, I don't have a video on Zoro as a plant yet. It was something I was gonna make, but I never did. And I have the full theory just like written out. It's like in a Discord thing and on a thing, but I just never made it. But like, that was the intro. You can go back to the Reverie when I introed myself. That's what I said.
Yeah, the Reverie 2022, ParVision introduced himself as the lunatic who thinks Zoro is a plant, and this chapter we actually got a +1 for him somehow, some way. I don't know how much money he paid off to Oda's editors to just add that little TN, right?
It wasn't even necessary.
Here's the thing. It's not even what Chopper says. Chopper says green mom, and then the translator note is the one that says it's related to a flower. So ParVision, you heard it here first, he paid, how much did your wife say the bank account was drained? $3,000 to have the translator put that in. I can't wait till the Viz official comes out and that's not even there. But that's besides the point, because Nami calls him a green Kaido, which, I mean, I feel like the obvious reference is the SBS where, you know, Zoro would have had Kaido's devil fruit in another dimension, but Luffy's is the one I want to focus on.
Yeah?
Luffy calls him, you're an Oni. And I'm just gonna say right here, if Zoro sprouts a horn in the final chapters of One Piece, this could be foreshadowing, or it could just be Luffy gagging at him. But who knows?
The thing is, and so I'll tell you off the call.
Just give us a snippet, just like one line about your theory. Doesn't have to be the whole thing, but just a line.
So the thing is, he doesn't need to get horns to be an Oni. That's the thing. That is the actual like crazy part of this. And the part about Onis is like, we don't get a full grasp, like, are they ancient giants, are they related, and like what is the realm of Onis, right? We only have Kaido and Yamato at the moment, and that's where it gets interesting, right? Because if they're the only ones, I don't even know if we got like Ulti's not an Oni, right? We never got that like really confirmed, I don't believe, or did we? I don't forget.
I don't think we did.
We did?
I don't think we did.
Okay, I don't think we did. Yeah, so I would just say, you know, wait for that video, but the hint is that this video is surrounding Big Mom, actually. And so when this was said, I didn't even the Zoro as a plant thing was secondary, because I was like, yo, Oda's gassing up the next video. I wasn't even going to post this video anytime soon, but I was just like, you know what? I guess Oda's here like W. He's just like,
and the thing is that these are all kind of like gag panels, so they could go either way. Like this could actually be a legitimate thing. And Oda has hidden a bunch of actual references or foreshadowing elements in gag panels.
Especially
so if we were a farm, Oda just bought the frickin' manure. He took a fat steamy load and left it on a shovel for us. This is a food for the theorist and myself.
Yeah. The thing is, the gags, especially in transitional phases, are I feel like one of the most important ones. Like, there's so many details in the transitional phases from arcs to arcs that like people don't really notice. For example, the Godfather Shanks theory, most people forgot about the deep sea currents that we learned about before going to Fishman Island, and the White Storm that we learned about after Fishman Island. And that is a huge gaping hole, for lack of better words, that
straight up Tokyo Diamond, bro.
and the thing is, those are things that are reoccurring even in this chapter. People were bringing that up because of that, and you know, I slid by what you said, but I heard it.
I don't think anybody's gonna get the reference, so it's fine.
But yeah, I think especially like having all of this in one panel, like I almost think like the official translations are just gonna change it to Zoro as a plant. It's not gonna say.
Oh my gosh! Yeah. Hey. Is this the plant agenda? Is that what I'm gonna have to name this video?
The translators are all just watching my channel at this point, right? I think that's what we kind of had to say.
I can't believe it. TCB, to be fair, does watch a lot of YouTubers.
They don't watch me, I don't think.
I mean, they don't have to follow you. I mean, I feel like TCB is just lurking, bro.
TCB, if you're watching my theories, put a double V in the chat on my chat on a random video. It doesn't have to be this one. I'll find it.
Any video, just put a double V.
Yeah. So you don't have to show your bias, but we know Zoro's a plant. You're pushing it. So.
One thing about this chapter, though, is that the next part, we have Robin reading the newspaper. She starts mentioning some of the things that are happening, and Luffy starts slandering Buggy. Luffy starts slandering my man Buggy. And here's the thing. Buggy isn't weak, though. Like, I mean, hey, I just gotta say it right here. The fact that he's controlling Mihawk and Crocodile, you know, has him by the throat, it shouldn't be that insane to Luffy.
To be fair, Luffy isn't wrong.
He's not wrong.
Luffy isn't wrong.
But here's the thing,
the funnier situation too.
But okay, so to be fair, I agree with Luffy. To us and the fan base and everyone out there, Buggy controlling Crocodile and Mihawk is ridiculous. Just the idea of it is ludicrous,
it was a fever dream.
Like, I would rather believe an alien is my next door neighbor rather than Buggy's an emperor. But at the same time, I feel like Luffy, even when the Cross Guild was first announced to this chapter, I feel like his reaction has been very over the top. Maybe it's just myself. Maybe like this is how he's always been. But I'm just like, he's drawing a lot of focus on this. And maybe it's because to show the contradiction of everybody believing it and Luffy's the one person who doesn't. Because even when they talk about the Cross Guild, the only other people who didn't believe it were him, Zoro, and Kid. Everybody else kind of fell in line. They're like, oh, maybe this is true. Like, maybe the Cross Guild is founded by Buggy. So maybe Luffy is just, you know, the black sheep here. And he's like, yo, like, guys, listen, Buggy is not that powerful. But that's kind of besides the point. That's just the minor thing. The thing I do want to bring up, though, is that while Robin is reading the news, she goes on and says, hey, Luffy, there's other familiar names in here. Would you like to hear the news about them, too? And Luffy says, I'll leave it up to you if there's anything big to keep an eye on. And I'm like, yo, I feel like Boa Hancock and Kobe's kind of a big situation. And I know Luffy is overloaded with news, but what is like one or two more sentences, right? Like, it has been months since Luffy has last read the news coup. And I'm like,
he doesn't read, but...
He doesn't read, yeah. He doesn't read, but at the same time, it's like, yo, like, what if there was more than just Boa and Blackbeard? What if there were other pirates that Luffy knew about that were getting demolished? And Robin's over here smiling with their dark humor, like, oh, you know what, no big deal. Bellamy's dead, by the way. just something random. I don't know. That's all I could think of. Like, I feel like this could be a tease, or this could just be Luffy not wanting to get upset again about Boa and Kobe. But I don't know.
It's not even about it. It's not even about the Boa Kobe situation per se. It's the last thing that we heard is Kobe's kidnapped. Like, that is something he would care about. That's something he'd be like,
it is important. It's important.
By Blackbeard, he hates Blackbeard. Like, it was on site in Impel Down. You know what I mean? Like, and then he saw what happened to Whitebeard on. Oh, did he see what happened to Whitebeard, or was he unconscious at that point? No, he saw what happened to Whitebeard, right?
No, he was unconscious.
No, he was unconscious. So he doesn't know, but he gets a grasp of the situation, right? He doesn't like Blackbeard, right? A lot of people, like, you know, it was in Impel Down. It was like literally
he punched
on site.
It was on site, bro.
And so, like, that Kobe news, I think that this is just like a way for Oda to focus the story, right?
Yeah.
Like, but the problem with that is that now Robin's the villain, because it's like, hey, I mean, Kobe, you saw him at Water 7 after.
Yeah, she knows they're close. She knows they're tight.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
And so that's on Robin.
If Kobe was drunk, Kobe would be holding him up.
Wait, was Robin might not have been?
No, she was.
Okay.
She was.
Or was she talking to Aokiji? Okay, you rewatched it. Okay, perfect. Wow, Sai's great. Perfect.
She knows that Kobe and Luffy are tight together.
Right. So that's one thing. Now the other familiar names, I'm thinking, like, is it the we don't know how much time
Bartolomeo and Shanks.
Yeah, that's another one, right?
Dude, yeah, Shanks slaughters a green-haired dude out of nowhere.
or like Barto's crew is captured. He's like, what? Or like he has a whole grand fleet now. Who knows how many connections?
Yeah, you're right. He has a grand fleet. Literally, like, Orlumbus could get a toe ache, and Luffy should know about that. I don't know.
And Robin's just here like, hey, nah, these guys don't fucking matter.
Whatever. hey, Kobe's just being quirky, bro. He's going through a tsundere phase. He just doesn't want to show up.
Yeah, and
that was my problem with it. So this chapter is great. This was the one thing that I was like, yo, come on.
Yeah. I feel like this was forced, though, to focus the Straw Hats in a direction.
Yeah, and I'm fine with that.
And the other part that does that people forget is a lot of people, or some people, question Blackbeard's bounty raise to nearly 4 billion.
From 2 to 3.
And like, it seemed like that was already established by the time he was at Amazon Lily. It didn't seem like it was established after the fact. I'm not too sure. We weren't given the proper
context. It was prior Amazon Lily, from what I believe.
Right, and so, like, if that's the major thing that he did with the Navy thing, then what did he do before, right? What caused that bounty
what
increase?
Caused him to go from 2 to almost 4 billion?
Yeah, and what people forget is that he showed up at Amazon Lily with only 2 crewmates. So where's the rest of his crew?
And not to mention, I see a lot of people attributing Blackbeard's bounty raise to defeating Ochoku and whatever his name is. But at the same time, it's like that happened. We got the bounty reveal post time skip. So by the time we got the 2 billion bounty, the 2.2, he already had Hachinose. The Rocky Port incident already happened.
Yeah, it was 2 times.
So it's not like what more could he do past Rocky Port to give him 3.9? Maybe it's the danger factor. Maybe more people were like, whoa, like, he's taken over a lot of territories. Maybe we got to raise this up. But I'm not too sure.
Truthfully, his bounty should have started.
Newsworthy.
Yeah. Truthfully, his bounty should have started higher because he had the double devil fruits. But like, and he's the only man to do so. That, I mean, to me, I'm like, yo, we need to stop that guy.
I'd be afraid, dude. If I was Emu, like, I'd say forget Vivi, give me Blackbeard. Like, this guy's getting too close to the sun.
Yeah, he's Icarus right now.
Yeah,
you know? And
the
so,
sun is Luffy.
With that in mind, something that I do want to point out is like, one thing that was crossing my mind. You know how people think that, like, it's a largely accepted theory that Blackbeard has multiple personalities or multiple souls or multiple whatever, right? Shadows, whatever, right? I think I brought in the shadows thing because now people think the shadows part. But that's, aside, where I was thinking Cavendish would have been a great 10th Titanic captain for him because he has the multiple personality thing too.
I thought about that too with Hakuba.
Yeah, but he's on the Grand Fleet. And then someone said, what if Cavendish is on the Straw Hat Grand Fleet and Hakuba is on the...
Oh my gosh.
And like maybe that's in the news. Hakuba joins the thing and it's like, what? And then Robin's
Hakuba.
like, this guy doesn't matter.
Yeah, day and night cycles.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Like, he's fighting at every single moment. Like, while he's sleeping, Hakuba's on the Blackbeard's crew. And then during daytime, he joins Luffy's crew. That'd be kind of wild, not gonna lie. That'd be a funny gag. You know what I mean?
That'd be a great gag. But I don't know how they would do it, though.
Yeah,
to make it make sense. But I mean, then again, it's One Piece, and a lot of events are kind of meant to be goofy. Oda likes to have fun with the manga, and we can see it here in this chapter and everything, too.
Yeah.
And pretty much like past the news part, which, Robin, like I said, is cuckolding us right now. We go on to Sabo's dream, and Luffy says he just wants to free everybody else. He doesn't want anybody else to have their freedoms taken. Sabo wants to write a book, and then Luffy discusses his dream, which is a widely discussed thing. There's a lot of answers or a lot of theories out there as to what this dream might be. But at the end of the day, it does boil down to just a couple, like him wanting world peace, him wanting a party, him wanting everybody to smile together, and etc. I never really asked you what your idea of Luffy's dream is, but what is it? Is there anything crazy or is it pretty tame?
I don't really have one per se, but I might get one after seeing this one because a lot of people said that they were upset because we got blue balled, and we did get blue balled again. And that, I think that's fine because if we didn't, that means the series is ending. So like, this was expected. When I saw the chapter title in my live reaction, I already freaked out because I was like, no, we're getting the dream in this chapter. What does this mean? I thought this was going to be a Weevil Moria chapter 9, a Luffy's dream chapter. And then we got blue balled. And I'm like, all right, that makes sense. Oda's knocking us up, but he's also edging us too. So
Jinx Maze is there and there's 2 other guys there. We're not getting any action.
And the thing that was great about this
good pullback.
The thing that's great about this panel though is the line here where Luffy says, I've never mentioned this to any of you before, and I was just like, no, you haven't. You haven't mentioned it to me either, and I got really upset.
What about me?
Yeah.
What about the audience, Luffy? Come on, break the fourth wall. Tell us.
I mean, like, at least how many times are you gonna blue ball us? And then, to get this out of the way, in the series, we can say for sure Uta is not canon. Because he told Uta in the episodes, you remember? Oh, and then he doesn't say Uta here. And I'm like,
he did.
I'm like, Oda, what are you doing?
Hey, the events of Film Bread are not canon, but Uta is.
But he doesn't mention her ass. I was like, Ace, Sabo, Uta, and I was like, wait, where's the Uta? Hello? and so I was like, all right, dismiss. But
just the dial-up sound starts playing.
Her music we just break into song and dance right now.
we start playing her #1 hit in Japan. Shinjiteyo, Shinemiayo. Like, it just starts going off in the background.
That was beautiful, bro. We need to start a music channel. Holy shit.
I mispronounced every Japanese word right there, but because I forgot the lyrics, but
it's all good. Just like how you can play those guitars on your wall, right?
Hey. we don't touch those guitars.
But so, like, the main thing that I got from this is we get context clues from every single Straw Hat, including the ship, including the Thousand Sunny. But every single Straw Hat gives us a reaction, and that tells me so much. And I can't wait to dive into that because one of the things that was brought up was like, if it were a party, right? Oh, are we good?
No, we're good. You lined up for like 1 second, but that was it.
Okay, so if it were a party, then why would Zoro react like that? Why would he be sweating bricks right now? Like, how many times is Zoro sweating bricks from a party? And it's like,
never.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it gives you context. And it's like, Jinbei's like, what did you say? And it's like, that's another different context. And we keep going down the line. To me, the most interesting one was Chopper's. Chopper's was like instantly excited. He was consistent. He was excited, and then he cried in excitement. And I think this is the most context that we've ever gotten, and that's not it. That's not the only context. A lot of people missed this one, or they might not have missed it, was that I don't think we were ever told that Shanks had tears rolling down his face hearing Luffy's dream. That's another huge context, which ties back to like when Shanks cried with Roger, for example. It's like, you know, how does this relate to that situation? Now, how do you make Shanks cry? You know what I mean?
I think it's... So I just changed... I just had a random guess. I feel like it might have something to do with Marines and pirates being friends. And the reason I say that, hear me out, is because before Luffy starts saying his dream, he thinks about Sabo. And he said he had a real strict upbringing. He just wants to make sure no one else has their freedoms taken the way he did. And when you think about Luffy, you know, he's like, what, like 5, 6, 8 years old, whatever. What happened in his childhood? He wanted to be a pirate, but he also had his grandfather, Garp, want him to become a Marine. So wouldn't he want some way to make everybody happy? So Marines and pirates coming together. And if that was the case, then Zoro, who's a logical guy, would be like, huh? Like, what is he saying? Like, how is that possible? Jinbei saying, what did you say? Because wanting to collaborate the two, kind of strange. Brook would just start laughing. Usopp would go on saying, there's no way anybody can do that. Marines and pirates just can't see eye to eye. And I feel like that would make the most sense. I just feel like Marines and pirates coming together is what the dream actually is. Because Kid Luffy, like, what does he really know? He doesn't know about world peace. All he's been in was Fuchsia Village. Like, what is Luffy's upbringing that makes him want to have a specific dream? He doesn't care about world peace. Has he really had a party? No. Nobody's thrown Luffy a party. He's never had a party before. Like, he chilled in the jungle with Ace and Sabo? That was it. So I'm trying to find something.
I'm trying to find your crown. I'm trying to...
Oh my gosh.
Did you really come up with that together right now?
Yes, I did.
I love that. You need to make a video on that. That is the best. That is, oh my god, wait, that's so good. Holy shit.
Everybody's paying too much attention to the crew reaction. I don't think they're paying enough attention to how he correlates his dream with Sabo's dream and his upbringing.
Oh my god, wait. That works so well, I think.
Don't make me make a video on this. I have no time for this. It's the weekend part. I have to work.
Can I make a video and just credit you? Like, yeah. You're posting do this. It, yeah.
Make a video and credit me because I have no time to make a video. The videos I do right now, I literally have no time for. Like, I wake up and I literally have to go to work 2 hours later. Like, it's bad. I have a full-time job, people. Please.
This is why I love Sai, though. Holy shit. That it does fit with nearly every single person. Yeah. The only one, Choppers, would be interesting, right? Because what I was saying was that when you look at the reactions, the most childlike person on the crew reacted consistently. They were surprised or not surprised. They were like accepting of it and praising it, and it's awesome. That was the consistent one. Chopper's the childlike. The next most childlike person I would say is Luffy, and Nami says that sounds just like you. It sounds like you, right? Yeah. And what we find out is the more adult characters, Brook's history is a little interesting because he was on the army side before becoming a pirate. He was in I forgot what he was. He was like some countries like raiders or something like that. Then we get Jinbei and he's like, what did you say? But then he starts laughing and it's like, I sure picked a troublesome captain, and it makes so much sense. And it's like, how do you, cause also it's like crazy cause he went through Marineford, right? Where like most people would come out hating the Marines, and he's just like, no. But the part that really got to me when you said this was, as a kid, what was the thing that he kept on having to face? It was Garp saying, you should be a Marine, and he wanted to be a pirate. And a childlike dream is like, wait, why can't pirates and Marines just be friends? Right? And it's like, that's like saying, why can't cops and criminals be friends? And it sounds so crazy, but we have more nuance here because criminals or pirates in One Piece aren't just pirates.
They're not black and white.
Right, and we've talked about that at length. In this,
and
you're the
same thing is for
side.
Marines too. They're not black and white. You had Kemuri, Smoker, Kobe, Helmeppo. There's a lot of good Marines out there that Luffy are friends with. So why can't this just be the normal? you know?
This is a beautiful, beautiful. Man, that was crazy.
Make a video, quick. Call it the biggest One Piece theory out there about Luffy's dream.
Yeah, I'm about to. I love this because the other part of it, and I'll include this in the video, is like we keep on getting situations where there's internal strife and everyone kind of goes to different, sides. Yeah. And it's like, I just made a video about, I don't know if you saw the most recent one about, conflict resolution. This is actually a perfect video to follow up that. It's conflict resolution in One Piece. And what the conflict resolution we see, and we see it in this thing, is that when you're faced with another party and you don't want to have discourse, right? Like having a conversation, finding common ground isn't easy. That's the hard route. The easier route is fighting. The easier route is starting a war. But the most easiest route is just deleting that person, getting rid of them, killing them. And that is what we see as a solution time and time again in One Piece. Hody, Kaido, Doflamingo.
The one person who succeeded all of that was Roger, who teamed up with Garp, a Marine, to take down rocks. That is the one exception. So
the Pirate King.
Yeah, Pirate King. The Pirate King did that. So Luffy wanting to be friends with the Marines wouldn't be too far-fetched. It would actually, in a way, be following Roger's footsteps.
And he said, I'll have a shot if I become king of the pirates. Like, he says that it'd only be possible if he's the king. And that does line up. If he's the king of the pirates, he'll have that kind of sway. He'll have that kind of thing. And that was what I was discussing earlier. Someone asked me, is like, do you think that the dream is the one, or his dream is just the One Piece? And while I said that, we can't say that for certain, because the crew seems to say that his dream is, it's like, get the last road poneglyph, become Pirate King, then Luffy's dream is accessible, right? And the One Piece, if you watched Hidden Island's mega theory of the video and a few of my videos, it's like the idea that, oh my god, that by being at that pinnacle, you unite everything, and then being the oh my god, this is incredible. I love this.
Your mind, I see.
Yes, you did.
This is why you need to come into the collabs part. Any other One Piece YouTuber who's watching this, please just hit me up, please. I want to collab. I got ghosted by every single One Piece YouTuber except for ParVision here. Please hit me up. Please, my DMs are open. I actually already sent you a message 3 weeks ago. I'm waiting every night with bated breath for your response.
Everyone else is here. Sai does spoilers, yuck, and I'm like, I want to talk with everybody. It doesn't matter. And like, this is what I'm saying. Like,
Luffy's dream.
You know what's crazy? You're Admiral Jenda. I'm like a pirate, and we're coming together. We're making Luffy's dream real. Holy shit. And the marine side is in the underworld. You're an emperor of the underworld, so you're basically CP0 at that rate. So this is crazy. This is actually wild.
But moving past Luffy's dream, because I feel like you have a whole topic on this now. We have we have Frankie mentioning about the last poneglyph. Robin saying, well, we don't even know where it is. And then that's when we cut over to Navy HQ with Sabo and the Gorosei and Lulusia Kingdom, and I am happy by what is happening here. We have Imu-sama as a shot in the garden, looking at some more butterflies, and the Gorosei mentions something interesting. They say, whoa, Sabo is an unlucky man to be at Lulusia Kingdom, which I wasn't even on board with until you mentioned it beforehand. But I don't think Sabo was the original target, like you said. They were actually after Lulusia Kingdom, because if they said, hey, he's an unlucky man, then that must mean he got caught in the crossfire of the Gorosei and Imu-sama. He got hit with that crazy beam, but before he got hit, he was mentioning to Dragon that, hey, I saw somebody on the throne. Somebody was up there who should have been up there. Somebody was entering and sitting on that throne. And then right as he said that, Imu-sama, the Gorosei, they shot down a giant beam that obliterated Lulusia Okoku. What is your thoughts on this? This whole segment? We'll just encompass the whole thing in one nice burrito.
The burrito is massive, bro. This is the biggest burrito you could have handed
Bell,
over.
$20 gift card kind of burrito. It is crazy.
it's okay. So let's start from the idea that Sabo was not the target, right? Because I think that is the more controversial take. I had it in my chat the entire stream. I think it ended with around 800 votes, and it was still about 50-50. Was Sabo the target, or was Lucia? And I think it slowly shifted throughout the stream as, you know, conversations were had. And like I'm thinking about this more and more, right? Because like, first of all, this attack, right?
Yes.
This is an attack that has no precedence in the story, though I did low-key predict this with the Nolan video. If you guys haven't seen the Nolan video, I'd go watch that. Someone just commented on this video and said, like, no, like, did you just like write chapter 1060? Like, it's essentially what I was saying, where I was saying that we might get it in the future, an example of the Gorosei and Imu deleting an island by some means. And I was using that to talk about the Nolan situation, because it parallels a lot even in this situation and with the Ohara stuff. But with something like this, and I mentioned it before, is like, this isn't something that makes sense at all to just like flip a switch. It's not to me, it seems like it requires preparation. And so for them to ascertain that Sabo was there in that moment, it doesn't make sense to me if we think that there was preparation required to bring this to this place, because it happened in junction with each other. They were like, we found out Sabo was there, and they already knew that he was an unlucky man. Why did they know? Because they had whatever, you know, I'm not going to say straight up Uranus, but it's probably Uranus, because it looks like it's raining down hellfire light, whatever, on there, right? And the part here is like, they would have waited to figure out where Sabo was if they were planning to target Sabo specifically. But what happened was, they found out where he was. He's unlucky, so it makes more sense that they're targeting Leloucia. And that's questionable too, because it's like, why Leloucia?
Because
they didn't do this.
It is revolting.
and it's like, we had Ohara, right? And the clap back there is like, they wanted to make an example of Ohara. Maybe they're not doing something that requires to be made a martyr of in that regard, or made an example of. But you know, in this situation, I look back at chapter 908, when the Gorosei were kneeling down to Im and saying, "Oh, great Imu-sama, the 5 elders are at your service. What light would you like to be erased from history?" Hey, well, we have an island that's being erased from history in their words, right? And so, and we haven't got anything in between to make that to make that line loop around. So to me, it makes sense that in chapter 908, while the reverie was still going, this was decided. And what we found out 4 chapters before that, in chapter 904, was that the Revolutionary Armies just liberated it from Peachbeard, and that was Leloucia Kingdom. And while I think in chapter 903, I actually found out that Princess Komane, she was rescued by Kobe, I believe, on the way to King Riku's ship. And so that's like an interesting context where we're adding more details to Leloucia. But coming back to the whole point, it's like, the way I see this situation is that I think that Sabo might have been done talking when he said, "I thought that there was no king of the world, but the empty throne wasn't empty, I saw," right? And the "I saw" is followed by a ... And we don't know if he continued to say, or that was all he saw, because even us, we don't know what Emu looks like. I mean, from this chapter, it's like, it's a thing of nightmares.
A jump scare, bro. He's a SCP monster.
Yeah, like, I literally, if you guys saw my live reaction, I literally said this is something that Sai would play on Twitch. Like, we would be walking around, and then this thing would pop up, and we'd be like,
I play a lot of horror games, and let me tell you, this guy belongs in the back room.
Yo, it does. This is scarier than most of the things you've seen. I'm not gonna lie. Like, I was so focused on Sabo when I was reading this, and then I just saw 2 eyes staring at me in like this darkness. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah, these 2 eyes are scary.
Yeah. And so if this is the last thing Sabo says, what makes sense to me is, we saw Emu sitting on the empty throne one time. every other time, even in this chapter, they were in the Chamber of Flowers. The one time was when they announced that Leloucia, or not announced. The one time would be when the Gorosei asked in chapter 908 what light to be erased, and we didn't get the answer, right? And if the answer was Leloucia Kingdom, it makes sense why Sabo would come to Leloucia, because it's like there's so many other places. We were setting up, like Vera was a place we were just getting ideas that they were just cheering him on. That was the most recent place. Leloucia is a very interesting option here. There's so many places. Sabo is the Flame Emperor. We saw Ace. Ace was on a raft and flying wherever he wanted. Sabo could go anywhere. To make it to the exact place that they're lasering down, like the guy said, it sounds like fate, but what if it wasn't? He might have overheard Imu saying Leloucia Kingdom, not knowing what they meant by erasing the light. This is Sabo, who just fought 2 admirals. He fought the highest power ceilings that we can ascertain. Admirals, Yonkos, they're at the highest level of power in One Piece. So why would he be afraid necessarily? He's not like he would know that they would rain down fire like this, right? His messaging here might have been like, hey, they're trying to take back Leloucia. I'm here, send more people my way. I'm gonna need help. And so he goes there punching way above his weight class because he doesn't know what that means. And then we don't know what happens to him here. And I think that's the full rundown of what my mind is telling me how this happened. And now the biggest question, and I think on initial reaction and even still now, is Sabo alive? Like, I don't even know. Is
he dead? See, the thing with Sabo, in my opinion, like whether he's alive or dead, it could go either way. Sabo, a lot of people are using the fact that he's a Logia user to claim that he's alive. But even if he is alive, he's stranded in the middle of the ocean. Like, the whole continent got destroyed. So if he is alive, he's going to have a tough time finding a place to stay. But I am leaning towards the fact that he is alive simply because I feel like he has more to offer the story than if he were dead. But going back to a previous part as to why they destroyed the Leloucia Kingdom, I believe with you, like they agreed that they should destroy the Leloucia Kingdom way before all of this, before they realized Sabo-kun was here. I feel like Leloucia isn't the only target though. They mentioned that 8 kingdoms were revolting. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if those 8 nations were actually destroyed. All 8 of them, to show that you shouldn't defy the world government, that you shouldn't leave them or revolt against them, and that you should just stay an ally with them. And then what would the other countries do? Will they actually go up and ask, hey, what happened to Leloucia? No, they're going to get their country destroyed. So it would, in a way, this is almost a way to make other countries that are affiliated with the world government, in my mind, to fall in line and to stay there.
The one thing that so I'm on the fence right now because I think when I put up the poll, I put Sabo, Leloucia /8 kingdoms, because if we're saying Leloucia, we have to have a reason why Leloucia specifically. Otherwise, it makes sense, like you're saying, the other 8 kingdoms are also at risk. But then the question becomes, it's like your point. It's like, if you wanted to make an example of them, erasing them isn't, because that's the same argument of why they didn't do this to Ohara, right? They wanted to make an example of what they were doing and why that was wrong and demonize them. But if we're just erasing them, that's very different. It sounds more akin to the God Valley situation, right? Where nobody, not even in the Marines, really understand God Valley or know of God Valley. Only a select few, the senior members, they only really know. And so if we're making an example of them, I don't know if this is the proper solution to all 8 kingdoms. Now, what I discussed in my Nolan video was I think that the Gorosei or Im in general has multiple tools at their disposal to deal with a situation like this. This situation is very interesting because something else that was discussed was like, why not Buster Call them, right? Yeah. Buster Calls are fodderized, but to just a random kingdom, they're a threat. They're still just a threat.
Yeah, to Moda, she's not going to survive that.
Yeah, exactly. Pasta Lake and the milk farm there, it's just like, that is a threat. So why wouldn't they do that? And so someone, I forget where the conversation started, but it was essentially they're already so spread thin. Like, imagine the Gorosei sent an order, take out Leloucia. They're like, we took L's across the board, Sir Dr. Man. I don't know why I said Dr. Man, but like Sir Gorosei members, we can't do that. And then they're like, all right, we need to. But then again, we go back to chapter 908, and it's like preordained, right? And it's like, did the Emu say Lelucia Kingdom, Vera, like all of these? Did he just like come up with a list?
Yeah, he had like a whole laundry list, like Santa's naughty list or something.
Yeah, so I think that there was specifically something on Lelucia that was very, very pertinent to being to getting this situation, and Sabo misunderstood it. Now the question there is, if that's the case, how would we learn about that, right? Because then it would become a dead plot point, right? If all of the ties of us learning about why it's important are gone, then we would never find out. That would be essentially the void history. We just erased everybody. I mean, even the revolutionaries might not have the full answer to that either. You would have to be like at the reverie or at the marriage joie to get the answer, and Sabo being alive would give that. But if Sabo's dead, then who? You know what I mean? So then it's like Sabo kind of has to be alive to tell us why Lelucia specifically. But it doesn't even seem like he knew why, because he like didn't understand, or in the theory that I proposed, he doesn't fully understand the context. But you know, going back to the end, or we'll get to the end of the chapter, because I think that's a solution to a lot of holes in this, not holes, but like, you know, gaps in the story right now.
One thing I do want to make note of is that I saw a lot of people were commenting that maybe Sabo wasn't on the Lelucia Kingdom and that he was trying to trick the Marines. But I really don't think that's the case, because Sabo never once mentioned where he was. Really what happened was the Marines intercepted the call, and they found out that Sabo was in Lelucia Kingdom, and that the revolutionaries were in Kamabaka Kingdom. So it wouldn't make any sense for Sabo to not be on Lelucia. Like, there's no way he's like calling another cell phone, like, you know, in one of those horror movies, and then that cell phone is connected to another one, and it's connected to the Marines here. He is on Lelucia, in my opinion. You even see the shading when things are falling from the sky. You see the shock bubble. So that is one theory I kind of want to debunk here. There's too many things saying that he is on Lelucia rather than not.
Yeah, and there's no Den Mushi that allows for that at the moment.
Yeah,
like the
not
white
that we know of.
The white and black one were established well ahead of this plot point, whereas something like a VPN Denden Mushi was not, right? Because that's essentially what's being proposed here, that maybe there's a VPN Denden Mushi.
They could have a VPN Denden Mushi, but would Sabo have it in Lelucia Kingdom? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Like, these are farmers. This is Vlad the Impaler here.
Yeah, and he's reacting to the situation. He's looking up. The light is on him. There's the exclamation question mark, like, the fuck is happening right now, right? Like, yeah, that's everybody else is reacting in this very same way. So it's too much of a stretch to say that he's not there. Yeah. And I get it, because like I think people want him to be alive, but this is what I was getting to. Like, when you look at an attack like this, even if you're a Logia, I just feel like this is something that's not survivable, regardless of what you are. Like, if you were to say like a nuke, right? Like, this is supposed to vaporize everything, and we see in the next panel that this is gone. There's no land. Yeah, nothing.
It's being vaporized. That's it.
And when you think about like a nuke or something, it obliterates like molecularly everything in the blast radius. It's like gone. It's just disappeared. It doesn't matter what it is. So like even fire, it wouldn't exist. It would just be deleted. It doesn't matter if you're a Logia, unless we're saying the Adam fruit exists and he just like ascends to Super Saiyan 4. Like, I don't fucking know. But yeah,
I love this so much. So Sabo gets hit, and you have Emu essentially saying, yo, or Emu, or whether it be the Gorosei, we don't really know who's saying this, but it says, as far as the surveillance division is concerned, no one detected anything abnormal today. No information was intercepted. As for Lelucia, that country never existed. I love that so much. I love that they could just erase a country, man. I don't know. I'm a huge fan of it.
Agenda.
Yeah, I have a world government agenda, right? Like, I love what Imu Samba and the Gorosei are doing. And if a country is revolting against you, you might as well delete it, right? Like why would you have 8 countries revolting. You have a lot of countries that are not affiliated with the world government. You have pirates out there. Just delete some. lessen the load on your shoulders, and delete Lelucia Kingdom. And that's exactly what Imusama did. And one thing about the weapon here, which I know is a big talking point, but for the weapon here, we actually see 16 beams coming down on it. And I've seen a lot of people blowing up this theory saying, hey, Doflamingo, when he attacked Luffy, he used the 16 holy bullets. Is there some connection between Doflamingo, a celestial who is talking about the treasure of Marijois, to this attack right here, where we had 16 beams coming from the sky? What are your thoughts on that?
It's hard to say, because then it's like, did Doflamingo see this in action? You know what I mean? For him to mimic it, it would have to be in action. And that goes back to that Nolan video where it's like, I think that, you know, if we're erasing islands, and there are crazy weather anomalies. How many times on the sea have we seen like, hey, what is this random storm? What is that random thing? What if it's just islands being deleted? Like, you know, I'm not saying it's that common, but something like this definitely fucks with the ecosystem, bro. Like this shit, like
some jellyfish are dying. Hey, but they did say tsunamis are being caused too.
Right, and it's so like, you know, this is definitely not green technology. This is not good for the environment, and some of the activities on the Grand Line could be associated to this thing. We don't know, but for that 16 holy string, you know, bullet thing to make sense for this, it's like, I think Doflamingo would have to see it in action. And that's the confusing part. How would you see this in action? Because the whole point of this is anybody being affected by this gets goned, right?
I don't think he knows. I don't think he's seen this in action, actually. I'm going to make a counterpoint that he probably... So he's a celestial. He was a kid back in Marijois. I want to say he heard stories from other kids in passing that, hey, like, don't beware of God. He's going to shoot you down with 16 bullets. Like, those 16 laser beams are going to destroy your country.
Do you think this is common knowledge among the Celestials, though?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So then that's what gives the haughty, like, nature of, like, Charlos, right? Like, in the other Celestials. They know that they have this in their backing, right?
Yeah. They're probably like, hey, I could just erase you. Like, I need an admiral right now, but if I wanted to, I could just erase you.
That is an interesting thing, because when we've seen anytime they were stressed or pain point, it was always the Buster call.
Yeah.
And if they had this in their back pocket, right, it's like that's another level to things. Like Fishman Island, for example. It's like, is that why it's where it is? Is that the protective measure why it's directly beneath the Holy Land? Because it could never be targeted by an attack like this. Being underwater, under the Red Line, under the Holy Land, there's no way you can be attacked by this. And this goes back to, I forget which video it was, but I was talking about how I think that, like, you know, Poseidon and like the positional placement of Marijois and Fishman Island was done in a way to protect them from the respective ancient weapons. So by being in the Holy Land, I mean, Sea Kings could jump and flop around on top of it, and maybe they can bite chunks out of the Red Line, but it's like you're not like that much at risk from our understanding. Maybe as an island you are, right? An island is a different situation, but on top of the Red Line, that's a different thing. And then at the same point, if this is Uranus, then this would be the proper counter, where being under, like, I would hide underneath them too. Like, if you shoot me out,
you take yourself out.
Exactly. So, and when we see, like, you know, 200 years ago, the fishermen were brought back into the Reverie, it's like, this is definitely like it seems like that position was very, very important in that, because I've talked about this in a few of my videos where it's like Fishman Island, it's like there's a whole sea, like there's a whole, I'm sure there's plenty of other places to be, and it's like, and, you know,
Fishman Island is in a horrible place.
Yeah, like
pirates go there every other day to cross the Red Line. Like, why would you position yourself there?
And it's like attached to this bubble, and it's like, I'm pretty sure you could just drag that along. Like, you know, we can move that, we could relocate. It's like a mobile home. It's a mobile kingdom.
I think the one reason why they did stay was because of the light that's under the tree.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like, well, I mean, they're kind of fish, you know, they can live in the darkness.
There's lots of other places too that I could imagine where they wouldn't be as targeted. I mean, East Blue is known as one of the more peaceful places. Arlong was chilling there
with Arlong, dude.
Just go underwater somewhere in the East Blue. The place is massive.
Take over a country. You're stronger than humans.
Yeah, and the thing is, there were there's Goldfish Land. There's a few other lands off of the coast of like Arabasta or something. I think there's Goldfish Land, and there's other places where those weren't fishmen. Those are man fishes. Like those were not. Those are some
a different breed.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys know, but you can Google it. This is actually gonna come up in a future video. But like they're literally like bootleg fishmen. Like there's. But yeah, so this attack, all that stuff, like the prep. Do you think that there's recoil with this attack?
I mean, there are what did it say, like sea quakes and tsunamis coming out? But they're so far away from like Marie Joie, I don't think they're gonna face it.
More like, is there a sacrifice that has to be made in order to activate this as a reason why they can't just boom 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 boom? But you think 8 kingdoms are gone, right?
There could be, but if this was Uranus, if this is an ancient weapon, and it has some weird caveat of needing some preparation or some sacrifice for it to work, then that means that possibly Shirahoshi or, Pluton also would need some sacrifice as well. And I can't imagine Shirahoshi would take some sacrifice to activate her power to, control Sea Kings, because we saw her do that innately. She cried a little bit, and then the Sea Kings showed up, but she didn't need to cry. She could have just asked them to come by, and they would have.
So, and this brings my thing to another question. We don't know anything about Uranus other than the sky association, right? The way this is shown is literally word for word what Pluton is supposed to do, right? Vaporize an island in one shot.
But isn't that what all the ancient weapons are supposed to do, though?
No, Poseidon is supposed to sink the planet. Or sink the world or something. Or it could bring peace. It had that or the other thing. But Crocodile, and thereafter, we get the understanding that Pluton is a weapon that can destroy an island by vaporizing it. That is the exact words, I believe, in chapter 192 or 193.
It's like Pluton is a better buster call in a way.
Right, and so is there a world that I know a lot of people want to say Uranus, and the reason why I'm saying this is I have a future video that described exactly this, but it's Pluton. And I didn't put it out because I was like, it's weird because like a lot of people are like, wouldn't this be Uranus? And I'm like, yeah, but like this just fits. It fits so well. And so
but the sky doesn't fit though.
It does with my Pluton theory.
Oh my gosh.
It does with my Pluton theory.
The teasers.
I'm trying to think of a way to bring it in, but like yeah, I get the thing is once I say what it is, it's
like the main plot twist.
Yeah, I mean when we think about it, right? Like I brought it up on my stream actually. I think the hint that I used was Weatheria. Weatheria is an artificial sky island that has like a tech that was told to Nami that is very dangerous and was very interesting to me. They have a halo rainbow around them, and that's light refraction. And I'm like, what if you use that in a different way? What if you use that in this way? You refracted light in a very concentrated point, like simple, like a magnifying glass, right? If you use magnifying on a glass or on an ant, you just roast them. And it's like, this is, to the world celestial dragons, these are ants, right? This is their magnifying glass. And I was like, that there is a world where that is
there's
the
a connection there,
right? And so that is a hint into the realm of ideas. And maybe some of you smart chat, I mean, all you guys are smart, but some of you guys can figure out where I'm going with it. A video will come out soon, but I just want to know what you think. Do you think this is, see, the treasure on Mare Joie doesn't have to be Uranus. We think that the world government has Uranus. It doesn't make sense that they would have Pluton because they were looking for the blueprints, but like, is this, because if this is the description of Pluton but it's Uranus, then wouldn't Uranus and Pluton just be the same essentially thing? Like, you know what I mean?
I feel like it could be the same thing, but they're just different battleships, right? You have Poseidon, who's essentially an underwater Noah's Ark battleship. You have Pluton, who's a land battleship. And then you have Uranus, which is a sky battleship. I feel like they're all kind of the same in a way. They're all meant to destroy countries. And you could even say that this might not be vaporizing. I mean, it kind of is when you look at the panel, but maybe it's just a giant explosion. We don't really know for sure to really call it. But either way, we do all kind of come to the conclusion that this is, whether or not it is an ancient weapon, this is ancient weapon level. This is too powerful.
Yeah, some people were saying Enel could do this, and I'm like,
he couldn't could do something like this, but I wouldn't say he could do this.
Yeah, because he destroyed Burka. We don't know how big Burka was. We don't know how big Lucia was, but we don't know what Burka look like in that regard. Are there devil fruits that can mimic this? Maybe, but like, what is this shadow, right? Some people are thinking of the beige thing, right? Like the island that floated him up. Maybe that's the shadow, and this is like mass falling down, but I don't think that's the case because they were looking at light, you know what I mean? And then when we look at the blast, it's a very like, this is like anime fiction drawing type of things. When things get disintegrated, it like kind of like floats away kind of thing, you know?
And one more thing about this too is that a lot of people bring up Enel when they see this giant attack on the Lucia Kingdom. And I'm like, you know what if Enel actually had like some really bad blueprints of Uranus, and that's where he got the design for his ship, and why he had an attack that looked somewhat similar to this. He was trying to mimic the ancient weapon to an extent. So that's kind of my theory on that. It doesn't have to be true or not, but I think that is a good nodding point that Uranus and Enel do draw some similarities. Right. Like you have, well, what is it? I would call the Lucia Kingdom the Target version, and Enel's the Walmart version. It is what it is.
And that is a good point. Arc Maxim was the amplifier. He used that to amplify his power to create the I forgot the name of the ball. Was it Raijin? No, it wasn't Raijin.
Raijin was one of his attacks.
Yeah. So he created that ball, but I'm pretty sure it was amplified by the Arc Maxim. So in a similar way, if this looks like light, is this something amplifying Kizaru? Like the same thing. Like if you had a giant magnifying glass and you had Kizaru just blasting through it, maybe you get this. Maybe that's how it works. Maybe that's why Kizaru is so special. In a lot of ways, Kizaru has been held not back, but like in secret almost. Like we've seen way more out of Akainu and Aokiji than we've seen out of Kizaru. Every time we've seen Kizaru, it was like, you know, on Sabo, it wasn't relative. It wasn't like I mean, we did get to see that his power was extremely destructive. In one shot, he destroyed a whole grove on Sabo. But in a lot of ways, we didn't get a great understanding because he was fighting the worst generation pre-time skip. And then at Marineford, he, you know, fought Marco a little bit, if you can call that a fight, and then he got stopped by Ben Beckman, right? After that, you just sprayed some things as Law went away, but we don't get a great example of Kizaru flexing. None of that was him flexing. That was Kizaru farting. Like that was him breathing, yawning. That was not him flexing. And maybe this is him flexing. This is why he has such a lax like demeanor to him, because he
like an awakened devil fruit in a way.
I mean, we're seeing from the pacifistas now to the seraphims, his power is always been core to that. You know, I would imagine, hey, we have a Mihawk Lunarian as a seraphim robot cyborg. We don't need to give it. We don't need to give it Kizaru's laser. That's a little overkill. Oh, and let's just give him a fake Yoru thing and have him slice half an island. And the Boa thing, like, it's like, all right, Kizaru's laser is definitely being emphasized in some way. In light, in shadows, light erasing things. Like, it just, like, I'm having this idea around light refraction. And this does feel very similar to like something Kizaru did. I might even go back to Sabaody and see how the grove was destroyed. Does it look like this? Because it might.
I think we have to wait for like a coloring, because I've seen people coloring this different colors. Like I've seen blue, red, yellow, white. So I feel like that does play a big part, because Kizaru is yellow.
Kizaru is yellow, yes.
Yeah, Kizaru is yellow.
I believe it's like chapter 509. So I'm going to look that right now. But if you want to go on to the next part, we could do that.
So one last part I do want to mention before we move on to the final part of the chapter. We see Imu crossing out an X on the Lucia Kingdom. This could be important. This could not be important. It could be his own personal map that he keeps on his wall like a teenage girl. Or this could be, you know, like actually how he activates Uranus or whatever weapon this is. He was like, all right, I'm erasing this one, so goodbye. But that's besides the point. Another thing I do want to bring up here before we move on to is that the Marines, are they being hypnotized or at least influenced by Imu and the Gorosei when they say, hey, you didn't detect anything abnormal today? Lelucia Kingdom, what is that? Because, like, I feel like if I was a Marine personally and I was working at the communication center, I'd be like, yo, what the hell is going on? Like, what does he mean it doesn't exist? I just saw it. They'd be asking questions. Maybe they're, told not to ask questions. But regardless, it's not like they're just going to forget about Lelucia Kingdom. Or anyone else will forget about Lelucia Kingdom. You have other kings who are at the reverie who literally saw King Saki. Are they just going to be like, wait, what happened to that guy? Like, is he gone? Did we erase him? Did the world government do something? Should I not ask about it? What is your take on this? Are they being hypnotized? Are they not?
So I think with the situation with the kingdoms and the surveillance group, I think that the policy is reiterated several times over where it's better to just not ask questions. I think that's essentially what we see. We see that with Cobra, right? He would have been alive if he wasn't an idiot and was just like, hey, I'm going to ask them about what exactly they don't want to be asked about, right?
Yeah.
And then with Saul, right? Saul is another good example where we get an insight onto the culture, the internal culture of the Marines, where they're capturing these scholars, and they're not combatants, but they're like treated like devils and demons, and he's just like, they're evil, not gonna ask questions, this is the orders from above, that's it, that's all I have to do, right? And it seems like to the point where even Saul was saying like, I'm not like a savage like the giants on Elbaf and all that stuff. To me, that's like him being indoctrinated into the Marines, because he's like being told bad things about people that he may or may not even know, because we know from like Mother Caramel there's several giants that were just put into the system, and we don't know if they were like truly ever a part of the Elbaf situation, right? But that line of context is like, these are the demons of Ohara, those are the savages of Elbaf, and it's so internal to the Marines. It seems like there's a culture of higher up orders, that's it, follow them, that's it, don't ask questions, it's better not. And then we get the situation with like when they were told about God Valley, right? Sengoku, chapter 957 is describing God Valley, and these upstarts, these young Marines are like, how do we not know about that? And then he's just like, do you really want to ask more questions about this island that the world government said that they would disappear and then disappeared? And they're like, yeah, never mind. And so I think that's kind of what they in story is a situation. I don't know if it's any kind of like genjutsu type of thing. I think it's simply just fear. And that makes sense with the world government in total, right? They run basically on the fear of their constituents.
I feel like that's how a lot of governments should run too. I feel like, I have a big world government agenda. So, I mean, when I see this, I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like clapping for Emu. I'm like, all right, you know what? I called the Gorosei incompetent, but this isn't that bad.
Before we switch gears, I do want to show. So this is the panel of the light, the beam, right? We see that, right?
I like that.
And then we get Kizaru's beam in chapter 509. They're running from it. You see like
snaps.
The
It looks
same kind of rubble kind of thing, and then the outline of it. Obviously, art styles will change over the course of 500 chapters. We get this scene with Kizaru right here.
This does look like Kizaru. When you put it like that, this does actually look very Kizaru-like.
Yeah, and I'm curious now to look at other explosions, but like, people had me look up the knock-up streams to see how similar this looked to that beam, because we don't get a coloring of it. What is actually happening there? Some people thought like things are falling from the sky, and I was just like, well, if it was, just to get this noise out of the way, if it were things falling out of the sky, then you would get like a crushing effect. Everything would be like smashed down into the ground, whereas we're seeing things floating upwards. We're seeing things getting disintegrated almost. And, a laser beam of this kind of thing, it matches Mr. Laser Beam himself, Kizaru. So if this is related to Kizaru and his devil fruit, It could be something like that. I don't know how that fits into the, the Doflamingo part of, everything, but Kizaru is a special guy in my opinion. Like, why didn't we send him to Wano? Maybe it's because he was out here lasering down Leloucia,
Yeah, he's just up in the sky, like, all right, ooh, who should I erase now?
Yeah. I mean, if I was Kizaru, I would carry a magnifying glass with me. It'd just be like, boom.
If I was Kizaru, I'd be evaporating all the citizens out there. So, moving on past the Sabo part, because this was a really big part of the chapter. I feel like the Sabo part really did shock a lot of people. Like, I wasn't there for your live reaction, but like, were you shocked by this?
Shock is an understatement. I sat there for literally like 3 minutes with my jaw dropped back because I was just like, I was registering what I saw. I saw raining down hellfire.
You saw justice, is what you mean.
Whatever you want to call it, Sai. That's not what I
justice.
My jaw was not dropped from justice, but I saw my Nolan video coming to fruition. I saw like so many, like, what is this attack? I saw my Pluton theory coming into play, or my Uranus theory, whichever one. And then the major thing is what you were saying, like, is Sabo dead? Because I think he should die from this.
Yeah.
But I don't want him to die. That's the problem. But I want him to. I think he should die because this attack is terrifying. If someone could survive this, then like, what? You're just a Logia and you could just survive it, or is it just his Logia? You know?
Yeah,
what I mean?
yeah. Ancient weapons can take out Logias, confirmed.
Yeah, and then someone, Larry from that One Piece talks was like, if Caesar was in this situation, would he survive? I'm like, I hope not. Like,
I hope he takes him out. Jeez.
Yeah, like, not that I don't. I mean, I don't like Caesar. That's out there. But like, I like his fruit. I like him sort of. But like, he shouldn't survive this. If you're saying Caesar just because he's a Logia survives this, I don't know what we're saying.
Caribou survives this attack.
No.
Yeah. Hey, Caribou's a Logia.
The one thing I can maybe understand is Blackbeard coming under this with like black hole umbrella, and then he just like makes like a black hole like thing, and it just
save Sabo though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there is that, but like it's so weird.
There's so many things with this. I mean, I feel like his Logia would help the situation, but it does have to deal with Sabo's vitality itself. And one last point, because we're kind of beating the Sabo horse here. It's like the main topic of debate. Like, is he alive? Is he dead? But I feel like for Sabo, if he does survive this attack, which like I said, I do think he is going to live, then I want him to at least be injured in a way. Like, I don't know, maybe lose an arm, maybe lose a leg. I'm not too sure what it looks like, but he has to come out of this with another scar. He got a scar from being, attacked by a cannonball when he was a kid? He needs a scar from Uranus.
He was 8 years old, bro. Come on.
Yeah, he needs a scar from this. At least like a cut on the cheek, even. Anything.
You're right.
Sabo needs to at least be maimed to a small extent.
I can agree to that, and what I think this is an important point because can we get clarification? Do you remember what chapter it is? Maybe I should check right now, but they exchanged Vivre cards, did they not?
So I talked about this too, and a lot of people corrected me and said they did exchange Vivre cards, but Sabo took Luffy's Vivre card.
Oh,
they did not take Sabo's Vivre card. It was the other way around.
Why didn't they take that? What?
Yeah, I don't know why they didn't go the other way around. I didn't fact check it, but a lot of people seem to correct me on this. So I'm gonna go with everybody's opinion here.
Yeah.
That Sabo has Luffy's Vivre card, but Luffy and crew don't have Sabo's Vivre card. From what I understand, I could be completely wrong. People could be dropping a fat hot meme on me, but that is what it seems like the consensus is.
Yeah. No, I'm looking through it. I found the chapter 794 when we get to that part of the story with the Vivre cards, I believe. It'll take a little bit to figure out, but even something like that. I mean, I think Vivre cards in general are being underutilized. Like, why are we making it one way? Like, Ace gave Luffy his Vivre card, and it's like, why wouldn't Sabo do that there? And then even, not to be a...
Hey, they don't want to waste paper, man.
It's fingernails, apparently.
Yeah, hey, they're going green.
And Yes, they're going green. But and the other point is like I think like even the Marco situation. It's like he didn't even take Luffy's Viva card. Luffy didn't take Marco's, and like I still harp on
nobody
that.
cares about Marco though.
Yeah, no one cares about Marco. Fine, but this one is a kind of like this is the brothers.
It's big,
the brother.
yeah.
This is why are we not getting Viva
He just
cards?
realized he was alive too. Like this is a big moment.
Yeah, like it's so. Here, this is Luffy's Viva card. I had it made. When did you do this? Here. Ew. Wait, that actually means that he clipped Luffy's toenail.
Yeah. Hey, the brothers. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah, it's so weird. Why wouldn't you not do the other way around? Whatever. It's fine. Moving on.
It's one of those situations or like a date when you go out with the girl and she's not too pretty, but she's not, too ugly. And you're like, hey, I'll call you. Don't call me. It's just like that.
Sure.
Hey.
We're both married men.
We're both married men now. But looking back, that's how it was back in the day, Par. I remember young Casanova. So
believe it or not, my wife is my first.
Really?
Yes. Yes.
My first girlfriend, I broke up with her and she dumped milk at me on school.
Oh, that is.
Yeah. So I was actually called Lechero back in high school, milkman.
Ooh.
Yeah,
that's not a thing. That's not a thing.
You ever see like like the One Piece epithets like, oh, here's Jewelry Bonney, Straw Hat Luffy. It would be Milkman Sai. That would be my title. That is what I'm known for. That would be
so multifaceted too for so many reasons.
Yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Milkman Sai. Ooh, the milk fruit. Imagine what I could do with that.
No, I don't want to imagine,
bro. Like, would I be a man with udders, or would it be like a Logia that's made out of milk? Who knows? Stay tuned. Maybe Oda will draw this up. I'll slip him $3,000. He'll add a translator note.
Yeah, just like I did. Yep. So, Oda, you heard that?
On to the last part of the chapter.
Yeah.
We have the crew entering a wintry climate. You have everybody commenting on it. You have Chopper wearing a really goofy hat, which I thought was a big gag in the beginning. And then Luffy points out a giant warm eddy, a giant, fat, hot, warm, bulgy coming out of the ocean. And they're like, whoa, what is going on here? Like, this is some hot water. Something's getting hot and humid up in here. And Luffy spots that somebody's in the water. And Sanji also points out that there's somebody there too. And I feel like this could be an observation feat, but let's be real. They all have observation. It's fine. There's nothing crazy that Sanji and Luffy are like pointing it out.
Yeah.
But Zoro says, I'll cut it. He cuts it up. And we see Jewelry Bonney emerging while Luffy and Chopper are flying off with Chopper's gag hat. There's a lot to digest here between the water, between, Bonney, Luffy flying off in the sky, the wintry climate. Where do you kind of want to start?
I think first, let's start with the warm, bulgy, as you put it. But with that, right? Like, do you think that this is one? Let's rewind it actually.
Yeah.
Do you think that Lelucia was the kingdom that they were headed to?
No.
Okay. So the reason why I say that is when they describe this big, warm, bulgy, as you put it, it says it must mean a mass of warm water is being forced up at this point from somewhere. And you know what's crazy is we just got a big mass of warmth being forced into the water by this like heavenly light vaporizing this island. That looks hella warm to me. I would go on a limb and say that was probably really hot, just a little sizzling, you know what I mean? If it were me, I probably would have no-diffed that, if it were me though, but everyone else here is fodder. It's warm. And so in that regard, it's like this kind of occurrence where there's this warm eddy, is that possibly as a result of the giant blast that we saw? Or another option is a lot of people are bringing up the deep sea currents, the white strums that I brought up in my Godfather Shanks video. And this could be a situation where because they're in the cool, like the weather on the surface is really cold, but there might be like a current that's pulling in water from above and it's just creating that. But I kind of just like, hey, in this chapter we saw a mass of warmth being injected into the water and it could cause that. We saw tsunamis and sea quakes. Why not a giant warm eddy, And what's more confusing about that is, regardless of how this thing came about, why is Jewelry Bonney in the middle of it? She's a devil fruit user 1. This is like the craziest situation.
She's
like
drowning, Bo. She's been drowning.
Yeah, how long has she been there, and why is she in there? How did she get there? Who put her there? Is she going for a swim?
Yeah, like, why is she coughing up water? Like, there's a lot of weird things about this, and you know, the route I kind of lean towards with the giant bulgy wolgy of the ocean is the fact that this could be maybe Kuma sending her here, and maybe the difference in temperature from the Reverie and Marie Joie all the way till this winter climate could cause the bulgy wolgy. But I don't know. I feel like it could go a lot of different ways, because if she was encapsulated in the ocean's bulgy wolgy for this longest time, then she would have drowned. She would have, you know, lost her power. She wouldn't be in kid form even. And a lot of people did bring that up, that since she was encapsulated in the bulgy wolgy, she shouldn't be in kid form unless that is her natural state, since her devil fruit probably couldn't activate in the bulge.
I think this part brings up so many questions, because it's like, for her to survive in that, wouldn't that mean that she was there like momentarily?
Yeah,
right? She just
got here.
It doesn't make sense though, because the Sabo, he had enough time to make it to Lelucia, and like he fought the revolution or the admirals, and all that stuff went down, and like, so how did she, in the Kuma situation, is like, what did she wish for? Why was he such a dickhead? Like, why didn't he just send her back home? Like, this is
send
so
her anywhere, dude.
And
like,
and
I mean,
think
she could have even said the kingdom she wanted to go to, probably. Like, hey, Kuma-san, send me to blah blah blah.
Yeah,
but no, she said send me to the bulgy.
And if he was coherent. And then the other point was, we do get an understanding that the only ship that didn't leave Redport off of Marijois was Vivi's ship. They didn't mention Sorbet Kingdom ship at all. They said that everyone else left. This is the only ship. So it makes sense that she did leave, and she just happened to be in this thing, which is like, how and
so
why?
Many questions.
And what's funny is, this is another one of those W's that I got, because with the hidden island in our first thing, I'm pretty sure, I have to go back into the stream to find it, but I said that at the time we didn't know about Sabo or Vivi or anything like that, and I said that one of the best people to let us know about that situation would be Bonnie, and I had no explanation as to how that would happen. So I literally said, there's gonna be some bullshit that happens after they leave Wano, and boom, we get Bonnie, and she's gonna be the perfect. I said, like, maybe the next island is Sorbet Kingdom for some reason, or maybe the next island is Vera, and then they go to Sorbet Kingdom. Whatever it was, I thought Bonnie was next, and she would tell us what happened truly at the Reverie,
because she's kind of unbiased, right? Like, she just doesn't really, she's on the revolutionary side, so she's not really like wanting to keep secrets for the Celestials or the world government. So she's more akin to tell the Straw Hats, who are fellow pirates, what actually happened there too.
Yeah, and we don't even know how much she's on the side of the revolutionaries, but we do know she supports Kuma. She was even more infuriated about Kuma's situation than even Sabo. From my memory, she was like grinding her teeth, I feel like, from what I remember, and she was like, you know, I even think about like, I think her conversation with the Kainu, right? Like I won't forgive you, and it's like, maybe it's about the Kuma situation.
He signed off on the papers or something. Yeah,
I mean, he was a warlord and all that stuff. He's admiral, fleet admiral next, and it's like all that jazz. Who knows what he was in charge of? But this is, you know, to go back to that point, it's like, this is very clearly bullshit. We don't know what the fuck this is. Like, amongst all the things, like, yeah, this is one piece of, I'm not upset by it, but a floating warm bubble of water in the sky is kind of like, that's like that. I was saying this on the thing, it's like, that's not something anybody could predict, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's not
a giant bulgy.
Yeah, and I'm curious to know if this is like signature of the area. I think this is like, this implies to me that maybe there's a volcano underneath and we are in a winter island. But this goes back to chapter 1036 cover story, where we see like the island is like frozen in the cover spread. And I think we talked about that in the stream, where it's like, maybe this is foreshadowing during Wano about where they would go next. I actually did an analysis about this and how the Straw Hats would split up after Wano. I think I did it based off coloration, actually.
And here they are in this chapter. I mean, they kind of do split off. Like Luffy and Chopper are flying off.
Oh shit! Wait, hold on. I didn't even register that.
Wait, really?
You're right. Yeah.
You didn't see that?
No. Not that they didn't fly off, but like that my analysis of chapter 1036 was that they were gonna split up, and I used the coloration for that, and it didn't connect until you just said that. Yeah, actually they did. Chopper and Luffy are flying away.
It's such an interesting duo too, in my opinion. Like Luffy and Chopper, bro.
Yeah, I mean,
when have we gotten some solo time with them?
They're both Zoans.
They are.
And they're both human fruits, so maybe we get some context about that. And we get some R&R between them.
One last thing about the Bonney situation before we talk about the island and Luffy. Yeah. But the bounty is 320 million, and I just gotta say, that is devilishly low. Yeah. And, you know, Bonney beforehand, you know, pre-time skip, she had 140 million, as seen in her iconic hentai, 140 million as well. It's the cover. It's her eating a sausage. So she only made a slight raise, but from now and then. And I feel like there's so many things, so many connections with Akainu and the world government and etc., that there's a small part of me that feels like it's being manipulated. And this is going to be my outlandish take, but I'm going to say it here for anybody who's still listening. But I honestly feel like Bonney might be Akainu's daughter. I feel like Bonney and Akainu have that bond, and maybe he's the reason why he's kind of manipulating the bounty to go low. That's why he wanted to capture her alive. And there's just so many things with that, in my opinion, do make sense. It's outlandish, I will admit, but I feel like that might be the case. And if Bonney were to hear Luffy's dream of wanting to join Marines and pirates together, then she would resonate with that a lot. And maybe even if Luffy tells Akainu his dream, Akainu's going to be like, dang, I really wish I had that with my daughter. I don't know. They could find common ground right there. I just want to bring back that theory.
That poetry. I do like that, but I don't know if there's I have to go back to see what was said between them, but I don't remember it giving the air of, it sounded like your property, essentially.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what women are, right?
Oh God! Oh jeez! Oh no! You know how many people were asking what was redacted from the last video?
Dude, oh yeah, last collab, people were like, "Hey, what did Sai have to bleep out? Like what did he say?" You don't want to know. You don't want to know. It was something worse than anything I've ever said so far. I mean, I say it pretty often, but I mean, I don't say it in public. But let me tell you that.
You know what? Maybe
it's a phrase, by the way.
Maybe you cut this out, but I was like, yo, imagine giving an uncensored version to your Patreons and members.
Oh my gosh. No, I would get canceled. I can't.
No, that's the whole point of Patreons and memberships.
Yeah. Hey, Patreon, if you want to subscribe to the Patreon that doesn't exist right now, I will say all the most heinous things imaginable. I'll bring back the OG One Piece reviews. So to anybody who's listening right now too, my original One Piece reviews, even with only a couple hundred subs, got, I think it was age restricted because of the things I would say. Like, I was not monetized. I didn't have like a lot of subs. It was just me off the cuff. And I got age restricted at almost every single video because of the things I would say during those.
It makes you learned from that, sort of, and you brought that all to
Twitch.
Yeah, you brought that.
I mean, I don't curse in any of my videos. I don't say bad things in any of the videos. I keep it very PG. But just know deep down, I'm like, all right, like let me let loose for a minute here. So I let loose in these streams a little bit. I don't even like curse in these videos too. So I keep it very tame.
Oh my god, this is great.
I'm like Kaido when he's drunk. I'm in the happy phase.
True. This is true. You are Kaido like when he's drunk.
Like I could say a lot of things about this Bonney panel, but I'm not.
All right, let's you know what's actually
subject. What's up?
No, I was actually gonna say the editor or the note going into the next chapter is a chance meeting. But she's small. It seems like that small point is an emphasis point for some reason.
Like I'm saying, I think the small version of Bonney might actually be her legitimate age. and she just ages herself up for that hentai, which I guess is really sus now looking back at it. But
yeah, maybe it's weird because you know what, off the riff, maybe she's an experiment. Maybe she's an experiment who naturally has a longer lifespan. Maybe that's why they want her back. She
could be, but I feel like she'd be like way too ahead of her time. If she was made by like Vegapunk or something, I feel like she'd be way too ahead of the Pacifistas and the Seraphim even. Like, she'd have to be like the OG model number 1, you know? Which I can't see really happening.
Yeah.
But
it's interesting to think about though, because I was thinking, yeah, like maybe it's her natural state, maybe this is what she came out of. I don't know. I mean, there's so many. I think amongst this chapter, because I think every page had a glaring question mark, but the end of the chapter had so many. It's like, where is Luffy and Chopper going? What is Bonnie? What is this bulgy wulgy? Like,
it's catching on.
Yeah, we're gonna make that a thing. I like that. But you know, in terms of the next island, I think that's also like as much as things happen in this chapter, things didn't happen in this chapter.
Yeah.
And like a few days passed, and that's where we get to the part where it's like, yeah, if Carrot was on the ship, she'd be dead for sure. But the other part is like, are they truthfully gonna get split off? Are they gonna conveniently land on an island, and are the Straw Hats
they always
gonna go
do
there?
They always do. This has happened so many times. Skypiea, Fisherman Island, like Whole Cake Island, like Wano, like they get split up so often at the beginning of an arc. Thriller Bark even, like they split up. I feel like this is just the classic Straw Hat introduction to an island. They just split off. And
Punk
they just do
Hazard
their thing.
Is the main one, right? Punk Hazard was like, that was a transitional arc where at the very beginning they split up. And what's significant about this part is it's 2 devil fruit users being flung into the ocean, so they have to land on something of substance, which is like, you know, which is interesting, right? Because we didn't get an understanding that they were like that close to a place, right? Like they got into the climate of somewhere, but I guess they have to go.
Somebody could also save them too. That's also an option.
Yeah, that is an option.
I'm gonna say right here, I think a giant is gonna save them, and I think they're on Elbaf.
That is,
it's a take.
The Elbaf,
it's a take.
It is a take. So then, okay, Straw Hat, the Straw Hat, Luffy, Chopper goes away. What happens to the crew then?
I think Usopp leads them. This is his arc. It's Elbaf.
After all the leadership that Zoro showed in this chapter?
Yes.
Okay. Interesting.
I mean, it's not like Usopp's gonna be accepted right away, but I feel like he will make really valid points. I feel like this is Elbaf, man. I just have that gut feeling that this is where we are.
I do like the sentiment that we split up to hit more islands all at once because we don't have a lot of time.
Yeah.
You know, if we were to go the entire crew to every single place, one, each crew member wouldn't get a focus on that island, but then also by splitting them up, we'll get more in each. Like, it's hard to make an island that benefits every single member, so it makes more sense to split them up to get similar to the time skip, you know, in between. It's like, let's get them to each to where they need to be. And this is a situation where it's like, you know, you could put Chopper and Luffy, besides their human fruit, like, unless they're getting sent to Sengoku to learn about the enlightened human stuff, like, I don't know exactly what they would learn, but I would imagine that Chopper would want to be with Vegapunk, for example, right? Like, to learn. But then also Usopp and Frankie would want to do that too. Same with Sanji. So it's like, are they, with Chopper leaving them, it's kind of like an interesting mix, like you mentioned earlier. Luffy and Chopper are an interesting combo, because then it's like, where could they go just unique to them that would benefit them, and where could the rest of the Straw Hats go that'd be beneficial to them? And now that we have Bonnie into the mix, we get a situation where it's like, I think, like, maybe this is like a Bed, like, you know, when Bed showed up on Zoe, that was the premise to split up the Straw Hats, right? He brought Sanji over, and then the Straw Hats split up after the fact, right? And this is a situation where Bonnie tells them some details. Maybe it's a Vivi, right? Maybe she knows where Vivi is or what it is, and then all the Straw Hats that did care, Nami, well, not
Nami,
Chopper, he's
Sanji,
not here.
Usopp.
Yeah, they go towards Vivi, and then Zoro and them carry on, and then we get a full split. Does that match up with that 1036 thing? Zoro, wait, what were the people that you said? Nami, Sanji, and Usopp are left on the ship that care about Vivi. Zoro more or less does, but he doesn't really want to show interest in going there. Yeah. And
then you left off, we have Zoro, Jinbei, Robin, and Frankie.
So according to, and I have a video on this, so I'm gonna go back and watch that. But according to this, I'm assuming this is what my logic was that Sanji, Nami, and Brook go one way, and Brook could make sense because he also said positive things about Arabasta for no reason, but or at least no reason to us at the moment. And it says, and Zoro and Usopp are actually together. They're both wearing green. They're on the left side. And it might be that, so Robin's holding a hand out to Chopper. Luffy's flying around, and it's Robin and Frankie that are together, and everyone wants to ship them together. So maybe it's Frankie and Robin that are retrieving Luffy and Chopper. And then Jinbei's like a libero in this sense, where he's just wearing yellow and black, and it's like very interesting. But that aside, I don't really know how that could play, but it's interesting that we're getting the premise of a splitting them up. It is very interesting. Ooh, I think at the end of the day, what I've been saying is like, Oda's doing a lot right now. These last 5
His
chapters.
desk is on fire, bro.
Yeah. My desk is on fire. I can see the fire from over there. Oda, chill out, bro. We don't have fire extinguishers, right? Like this is just absurd. And if anyone thought that it was slowing down, including myself, we really wrong. This shit's hitting the fan
Oda
multiple times,
bringing banger after banger. The desk goes on fire. It's straight up.
Sai says a really inappropriate thing that cannot be aired on this video. He sincerely regrets saying this phrase and has since apologized to all those people.
That is another segment that is going to get bleeped out entirely. Just bringing it back. I don't think anybody's gonna hear this because this is like near the end of the video, but
right.
That got bleeped out hard as well.
Yeah,
another cancelable phrase got thrown out there.
Yeah. It'll be funny if we restart and be like, we cut that shit out, and now continuing back to the chapter.
Yeah, I feel like once per video I'm just gonna say something absolutely ludicrous and I'm just gonna cut it out entirely. And then every episode, people are like, what did he say?
What could he have possibly said?
Yeah, what could he, like, I'm going to cut it out right when I said Oda, right when I say Oda, and then it's going to beep, and then boom, here we are.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
It's this, I think, at the end of the day with this chapter, do you have any predictions for 1061?
Dude, anything can happen.
Yeah.
Like, literally anything. We could get that Weevil chapter. We could get some Bonnie. We can get Luffy and Chopper. We could get Usopp and the crew. We could go back to the world government. Like, honestly, I've given up trying to predict chapters at this point. I feel like no matter what I come up with, it's just not going to be the case. Like, Oda is going to whip out another card. Like, if this was a first date with Evan, she
was a really lovely lady.
And that's just how it is. Sometimes you just have to accept what Oda gives you.
And what's fun about your content cycle is, breezing past all that, what's fun about your content cycle is you deal with spoilers. So right after the chapter drops, you start getting hints and leaks, and very soon after, with the official release, you get a grasp of what the next
bulgy
chapter holds.
Wolgy starts forming, and I get to see it firsthand.
A different bulgy Wolgy starts.
The Oda bulgy Wolgy is forming on the side.
And, that being said, it's like, I bet this one will give you just as much whiplash as the last one, because I think that it would make the most sense if we continue on the Bonnie stuff. But like you said, the last few chapters made no sense. In hindsight, we can say like, oh, we're focusing on the warlords. Oh, we're focusing on the outside world. We can say that. But what was contained with those chapters were not in line with anything. You can't tell me there's a world where we go from some bullshit ass end of Yamato's not joining the crew, that chapter, to like
1057
like a cross guild to that chapter,
man.
to then flipping it on its head, that Crocodile in Mihawk, the marine hunter, all the bounties, all that shit, right? And then we go to Seraphims, then we go to this or
Boa Hancock and Blackbeard.
Yeah, and then we go to this chapter where we're just nuking islands out of nowhere. And
Amen.
And I can say all I want that I had multiple W's. Most people came to the thing and told me that, but what I will say is I did not think any of this was gonna happen this soon. I will be the first
You're
one
like
to say
Buggy
that.
just smiling through all the good events. You're like, oh wow, that was great.
That's literally it. I was just sitting here like, okay, all right, I guess we take these. I thought this is gonna be like 50 chapters from now, but it's gonna be in the next chapter. Like I don't know what else to say about that. Like what it blows my mind, because it's like because some of these theories now I'm like, damn, I have to cook way more, because all these theories are supposed to be long standing.
It's not just that, but I feel like at this point of the story, with how many things are happening, if you have a theory, or if you're a theory channel on YouTube for One Piece, I feel bad for you. You have to put out a video once per week, because Oda will just nuke it, bro.
Yes.
Oda will drop some fat, hot memes on you, and your theory is not going to matter.
How am I supposed to continue to make my theory about Zoro being a plant when I want to put out the Pluton one, or I want to put the Void Sentry
one? And
one?
then, you know, Oda, like, next chapter, hey, here's a Pluton reveal. You know, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's going to be pointless.
Yeah, and
you have to be fast. Oda will whiplash you.
Particularly care about being right or wrong. I care about being interesting and following the story, which seems to be a correct, formula at this point in the story. But I will still say, it's like Oda, this is why Oda is over there. I was saying on my Discord that I added everyone in my Discord. I was basically saying, like, at this point, Oda is spoiling my theories rather than the other way around, because most people are like, you're spoiling the story. I'm like, no, he's spoiling my channel. Like, this shit is not, like, how am I supposed to keep up?
Like, if I had to correlate Oda to something, he's literally like
the best manga author of all time. The story he is presenting to us is equivalent to fire. No matter how many chapters pass, he keeps getting better and better at writing. He is just like the old English author Edgar Allan Poe in his prime. He is the god of manga, and all other animes pale in comparison.
And that's essentially what Oda is doing right now to us. And I just don't know.
You know what we gotta do for this one on your video? I want you to keep the reaction that I had and just blur your face and mute it. And just mute it. Just blur your mouth and keep it. Because, like, what the fuck?
Yeah. It's gonna be like when Luffy tells his dream to the crew.
Because I already knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was gonna be that bad.
Oh man, that was good, huh?
Oh yeah, you want me to just agree?
Hey, high five! Your wife was listening in on that one. I bet if your wife actually heard the uncensored version, she'd be like, "Why are you talking to this guy? Like, is this a bad guy?"
No, I was telling my wife about your wife's reactions, because again, I thought she was just. She knew. She's like, oh, it's just Sai. But no.
My wife does not like some of the things I say. Sometimes she'll have to sit me down and say, hey, do you actually believe or say this? Or like, I was like, no. I'm joking.
She's so innocent.
The jokes are kind of crude, but let me tell you.
Oh my goodness. That was quite a... I'm glad I got a wife reveal. That was
yes. To anybody who's watching right now still, I revealed my wife to Parda so he knows what she looks like, and they got to say hello, which is a really sweet moment, you know?
I got to see how she interacts with Sai, the Sai Unleashed, because the thing was, if he's bad on Twitch, you guys who watch his Twitch, no, he was worse with his wife. That shit was wild. There was no stop. There was no pause.
It was very natural.
Yeah.
There's a big difference between the way I act and my wife. Like, if I had to put it in One Piece terms...
Oh, God. Okay.
If I had to put it in One Piece terms, I'm like Hody Jones, and she's like Princess Otohime. We're very different.
Okay. Oh no. That's okay. All right. I see when you said
that's a good one.
When you were gonna make an analogy, I thought we were going back to the bleeped one. And I was like,
no. No. But speaking of Hody Jones,
Hody Jones did nothing wrong. He was just a fisherman that grew up in the wrong environment. While he did bad things, he did not mean any harm and was the pinnacle of Fishman Island and the story of One Piece. He showed how age-old grudges can be carried on by holding on to resentment. He is 100% a top-tier character.
Yeah. I mean, we're definitely taking this one out of the
I'm sorry to anybody who's watching right now. Just you're getting a lot of cut. It's either going to be cuts or just straight up Par's reaction to the things I say. I should have done this earlier on. I apologize. I should have said more things about Luffy's dream and etc. But ooh,
yeah.
Oh, you know the rampage I could have went on about Luffy's dream.
Oh jeez, I don't want to know what it could have been. All right, how are we gonna close this out?
Yeah. Okay, let's segue onto one more topic. What is your island prediction? Because I said my guess is Elbaf. What is your island prediction? Where are we going?
I honestly have no clue. I completely forgot that Chopper flew away with Luffy. Where they're going, where the Straw Hats are going. Yeah. I always thought Vera was my top one because then they would learn about the Sabo stuff, right?
Yeah.
But now that we have Bonnie here, we don't necessarily need to go to Vera because they would learn about everything from there. Now, Vera could still be a good spot to go to, but it's not as necessary anymore. Now, that raises the Sphinx Island stocks, but I still don't think so based off of last chapter, the way it was going, because Sphinx Island wasn't a wintry island, right? Especially now. So whatever island they go to is wintry. So Vera doesn't seem wintry. We don't know about a wintry island, I don't think, in the New World. So, or we do know of, but like we don't know like of one in this regard, right? Oh, what if it's no, that wouldn't make sense. The one Shanks and Ace met on, like that's an interesting option, but like
that wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, it has to be a wintry island. We don't have much to go off of, and it also seems like one that's surrounded by volcanoes, maybe. I don't know, crazy weather. There's not really anything. Do you have any ideas? I mean, you said Elbaf, right?
Yeah.
So
I made in my video, I made a point that it could be Elbaf because of the Winter Solstice Festival, and with Luffy going there, he could be the sun that signifies the end of winter. And another guess I had was also Aokiji. Maybe he awakened his devil fruit, and that's why it's so cold. But a couple of things I had people also mentioning is that they did mention some kind of wintry island beforehand, so this could be it. Or even it could be Vodka Kingdom, which was from Kaido's backstory. There's a lot of options on the board.
Yeah, Vodka
and I don't
Kingdom
think any... What's up?
Was like the Russian kind of place in Russia.
The Russian cold kingdom. Yeah.
Yeah, that would not having Yamato here kind of like, because imagine her going to where her dad was like born.
that would be really like wholesome, and like I feel like that could be a really nice adventure.
Yeah, but so now going to Vodka Kingdom, one, without knowing what happened to Kaido, but two, without Kaido's kid, it's like we lose a lot of the reasons why the exposition on Kaido would be important, right? Because that's super valuable to Yamato. It's not necessarily super valuable to the crew. They just wanted to take him down. They don't really, we cared about his backstory, but it's not like they give a flying fuck about it, right? You know what I mean? Like, this is just like,
it was a passing story.
Yeah. So
there's a Ferrari on the interstate.
Now the main question is, do you think we're gonna find out next chapter?
Yeah, I think we are.
Okay.
I feel like even if the chapter was divided like this one, where we have maybe Weevil does actually come into play, maybe we see a little bit of Doflamingo or etc. I feel like we will get one or two panels of Luffy, Chopper, or the crew arriving at this new lander, getting some info about where they're going. Oda has teased where the Straw Hats were going for so long that I feel like it's probably time to show it, even if it is just passing, right? Even if we do just get a name or maybe one more description of the island. But no matter what option it really is, I can't imagine it being a bad one. Oda, like you said, has been writing nothing but fire chapter after fire chapter. There's no way he's gonna stop here. He's gonna melt the ice in this in this continent.
And also, we did get a time skip here, right? Like, it's a few days later.
A few days.
How many times have the Straw Hats been traveling for this long, right? Like, I would go out on limb. It's never been for that many chapters, and unless it was like going to Fishman Island, that one was like maybe 4 chapters, I think, and it was specific. There was a reason why. But usually we kind of just like jump to like right after they leave and right before they enter, and then there's like a few things in between. I think the longest one might have been after Arabasta to going to Jaya. If from memory, that was like chapter 216 to chapter 223. But that's because they went deep sea diving, they went scuba diving, they saw the Masira pirates, they saw a lot of things, a ship falling from the sky, the log post got hijacked. There was a lot of reasons why that was the case. I from memory, after getting into the Grand Line from Crocus, it was like in one chapter they went from summer to there was a typhoon to there was going, and then Nami was sick or something, and then they tried to get Drum Island, something like that, right? Like it's never this long, I feel like. So I do feel like next time we see them, they are probably gonna go to an island, right? Like, that makes the most sense to me. Yeah. And
with the island too, like, I just feel like the next chapter will hold a lot of answers, because it is the chapter until another break week. So if Oda wants to like metagame it, he could really tease us hard, like, oh snaps, we're on X, and then he just cuts off. Yeah, there's a lot of ways Oda could play this out, and honestly, man, this whole chapter was freaking goated. Every chapter was just better than the last. We're just ending on constant high notes.
Yeah, and it's different high notes too. I think that's what makes it feel crazier, where it's like, this one's definitely like, how many times do we get an island obliterated? I mean, let me tell you, not too often in my One Piece. I wish it was more. Back in my day, we weren't really obliterating islands like this.
Back in my day, we didn't talk about it after it was erased. Let me tell you that right now. Leloucia who?
Exactly. Yamakaji who? Or Yamahuji.
Hey. Don't disrespect Yamakaji. Yamakaji, a Buster Call led by Yamakaji, is as strong as Uranus when it's attacking Leloucia Kingdom.
Oh, really? I didn't see that last chapter, Sai. I mean, he had a full showing.
He was waiting for permission to destroy Amazon Lily and Blackbeard. If he got the permission, it would have been game over.
Yeah.
People would say Amazon who? Boa who?
Can't Black argue who? With that logic.
Or Rayleigh who?
Yo.
Dark, what is it? The King of Hell? More like send him to hell, right?
Yeah. I honestly think, like, with the chapters like this, not even for my sake, I think Oda could go to like every 2 weeks, and I think people would be satisfied, because there's so much conversations to be had about this. So bro, I'm excited for next week.
And with that being said, thank you for joining me, Par. Do you want to shout out your channel one more time before we end this up and wrap it up?
Yeah, so if you guys don't know who I am, and if you enjoyed the conversation here today, this was a very different situation, because usually TCB scans drops it at night, and me and Sai just go through like one conscious stream of thought from chapter release to this. We had a little bit of time to let things marinate, and clearly Sai had a lot of marination going on.
A lot of marination, man.
The analogies popped up.
If I was marinating, and if I was
an old grape on an Italian vineyard, I would be turned into fine wine. The marination processes that I received in this chapter truly has awoken me to a greater plane.
In the middle of my thing, this is what he decides to drop. But that being said, if you guys want this chapter, especially all these chapters, if you guys want to see the live reactions, come over to my second channel, ParVision VODs. I'm posting all my streams there. One of the main things that's happening this weekend that I do want to draw attention to is I'm having Morge come onto the stream on Sunday, and that's going to be a big fun event with a content creator that, like, doesn't usually collab, but here we are. We're going into the mix, and so this is a crazy chapter to come off of. So if you want to know more about like my insight, definitely come on to that. I also have a podcast thing that I have linked in my videos, and the thing to look forward to, as you can tell, I have a lot of theories that are also backlogged, but now Oda's holding me hostage at this
he
point.
himself.
Yeah, and so be strapped in. I think my last few videos are really, really relevant to some of the conversations, and I really liked Sai's dream theory. I mean, this is the reason why we collaborate and talk so much, is the analytics, the analysis that Sai puts out is really, really great, and I do value that, and I think it should be given more shine onto. So.
For as many jokes as I make a couple of good points to make up for it.
and yeah, this is why we do these things. The conversations are the best way to absorb chapters in general, fiction in general. So appreciate all of you guys who are listening. Thank you guys, Sai's viewers, my viewers who are coming through. Let us know what to call this, because this is definitely going to become a more recurrent thing as often as we can. And let us know if you guys like that, and give us a thumbs up. That'd be great. And yeah, thank you, Sai, for having me on your channel.
Yeah, always, man. You are welcome in at every single collab. I know it's your first time here, but I'd love to have you here. And with that being said, guys, thank you for coming in. And if you enjoyed all these 2+ hours, even though I said I'd keep it under 30 minutes, please feel free to like, sub, and all that good stuff. Par's channel is listed down below, title, comment section, and all that good stuff. But we'll catch you guys later. Peace out.